camera be? And we're going to get that positioned up down here somewhere for you, so get you right nicely in the middle, so your mom will be happy and proud.
Okay.
It's usually the case. And then we can get going. So give me a second, and I'll get us going here. And that should be good. So welcome back, everybody, to this iSigma Live podcast. I'm joined in this session with William Wakefield from PowerKnot. William, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks. So tell me, so PowerKnot's such a strange name. It's a lot of times, you especially in this industry, the name kind of tells you what people do. But PowerKnot didn't tell me. So tell me, what is PowerKnot? What do you do? What are you here at the show for?
So PowerKnot, we originally began in 2009. Our main bread and butter is a food waste digester.
Okay.
So this is a machine that will eat your food waste. It's like a giant stainless steel stomach. It sits somewhere in the kitchen, usually by a dishwasher, and the customer would put their food waste in, blend a microorganisms, eat it up, digest it, and it turns it into a gray water. And it just goes down the drain. There's no smell, no mess.
So no black water, no main drain, sewer drain, or anything. Incredible.
So the idea of this is, of course, it saves the customer money, and a lot of problems. Say there's pest problems, workplace injuries. No more bags. No more smells or anything like this. But it's also really good for the environment because there's no methane being produced. It's an aerobic digestion process, and the name PowerKnot. There's all these problems in the world. It's a big knot, and we're trying to, with our bit, help untangle this knot.
Untangle
so
some
that's
of the
what
knot.
That's where the name comes from.
Fantastic. I love it.
So we've been building the biodigester for 16 years, and we originally began fulfilling contracts for the United States military, and then of course the Canadians caught on shortly after, and we won the contract with them. So we're on military bases across the U.S. and Canada. Anytime there's a new facility, we're automatically spec'd in. Well, maybe 10 years ago, the Canadians, they wanted a bin tipper, right, to tip into our digesters and into dumpsters, etc. So we went around and built the best bin tipper that we could for this application. And about a year and a half ago, we understand that the gentleman who made the Easy Tipper out of Texas, he tragically passed away. And there was this space where people needed this product. And VRC, they saw our bin tipper, and 100% stainless steel, very robust, very durable. We build things to last 15 to 20 years. They saw this and they said, "Hey, could you build us a bin tipper, right, to fit for our needs in our industry?" And we went and we saw the Easy Tipper that we had, and made quite a bit of improvements on it. One, we use stainless steel. Everything's 100% stainless steel. That's what we do. But the bearings are stainless steel as well. And then, we've got over 100 tips on a single charge, and it only takes 4 hours to charge. So this was something that was needed. And not only does it power up, but it powers down. So up and down in under 20 seconds. And this tipper is designed to sit in the back of the box truck, right? So the guys don't have to bring the bins and swap them out. They can just bring the bins, dump them into the Gaylord in the back of the truck. Right. They can fit a lot more paper in the Gaylords, and make more stops, makes things much more efficient and cost saving for them.
It's incredible. How did VRC find you? It seems like quite a disconnection, or were they were looking around after
They
the
were
gentleman?
looking, yes. So I know that they were considering purchasing the Easy Tipper because once he passed away, they were pretty much done. They didn't want to continue.
Didn't want to sell.
And then
okay.
they put it up for sale, and VRC they said, well, they considered purchasing it, but they don't have any knowledge of manufacturing, right? And we do.
You do, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So they saw our bin tipper, right? Our SBT 140, and that's what they liked. They said, hey, we want like one like this that will, be designed for our industry. And so that's how that began.
So the dumb guy in the room who's not been in the industry for a long time. How does this fit in? Are these fitted into a normal box truck, or is this part of the shred truck? Help me understand where it fits in.
It can fit into a normal box truck. So instead of buying a $300,000 or $500,000 shred truck, which from what I understand, it's very expensive to run, and then of course with our gas, gas
absolutely.
fluctuating, it's very expensive. So with this, they can just buy a $100,000 box truck and put one of our bin tippers in there and bring everything back. And I guess this is the most efficient model, rather than driving the truck on site to bring everything and shred it in their own facility. And it's more secure that way, I understand.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the times people may have a box truck that I'm trying to think about somebody, maybe they're in the record storage. If the business isn't as busy as it was, that could allow them to repurpose the truck,
Exactly.
which rather than going out and purchasing a whole new shred truck.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one I hadn't thought about. So if somebody was starting to to get into this, what would get them to think about this? Because I mean I wouldn't have even thought that this technology was available. So it's like, is it an education process now to get out and make people really aware that this technology exists?
It can be. I understand a lot of the guys, they want to move to this model rather than bringing the shredding on site and having these trucks, these expensive trucks. But it's the customer, right? So they need to educate the customer that, hey, you already trust me with storing your documents for 10 years. Why don't you trust me to destroy them in our own facility? Because
it is a bit of a change, isn't it? There was and again, I'm going back a little bit, but there was definitely this push to kind of say, hey, look, we're destroying it on your premises and you can watch it. So you feel really good about it. And it's almost turning that back around now and saying, you don't have to worry that it's not being shredded on your property. We're gonna bring it back. So there's a little bit of re-education maybe there.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I mean, it's not like these people come out and watch it every single time. They may come out the first time to watch it, and see what happens, but after that, they never do. And so, from what I understand, what everybody has told me, it's actually more secure to do it with this new model that everybody is going forward with.
Yeah, and I spoke earlier about baling, so this gives an option if people, with the baling as well, I guess, for the flow through. Or you can do that with the shred truck, obviously, as well. So when you're working with somebody new, what are the kind of safety issues with this though? Because obviously you're putting now a piece of machinery into the back of a box truck, so there needs to be some safety. How do you help and ensure that nobody gets hurt with this now in the truck?
Well, it's pretty simple operation. We do have everything is the grabbers are spring loaded. It's very slow when it comes up. They have a key. There is an emergency switch as well. And there's nothing that's going to jump out at them. they have the ability with the long extension cord, they can stand away from the tipper, you know, as far as they want, and the operation will.
So you've tried done the very best to redesign safety into the product, like you
Yes.
say, stop
Yeah.
switches and being able to stand away from it, and the pieces they touch are very safe. Everything's nice and slow.
Yes.
How about maintenance? If if I buy one of these and I have an issue with it, how do you maintain it or help the customer maintain it?
Well, we offer a 1-year warranty. On top of that, we do offer, a service plan in case they don't want to worry about anything, and that will extend the warranty indefinitely.
That's okay. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
Sorry. Say the question to me one more time.
So I was just thinking about the maintenance because
Oh, the
obviously,
maintenance.
yeah,
Right,
because
right,
obviously,
right.
if something goes down, then that's a cost to you now, and if you bring it back and you don't have the tipper now, it's quite labor intensive, obviously.
So our maintenance is very, very minimal. We've designed this thing to be bulletproof. The battery may be the only thing that needs to be replaced. There's a hydraulic unit inside that does need to be, serviced once a year. You'll need to put some more fluid in there.
Yeah, but it sounds
It's pretty
minimal.
basic though.
Yeah, and you mentioned that recharging. So pretty much you do a full work shift and then just recharge it overnight,
or multiple shifts. So some of the locations, these guys, they only charge it maybe once or twice a week.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very cost efficient on that.
Whereas
So
the other tipper, they would only get maybe 30 tips, and then they would have 14 hours that they would have to charge it. So with us, they get over 100 tips, and it charges in 4 hours pretty quickly.
So that's an amazing cost benefit of that
Yes.
already, because I can I can turn drivers around and keep that truck on the road if need be.
Yeah, and it's not just for box trucks. I mean,
Yeah, we just use
there's
that
a multitude of applications that this tipper could be used for. Any sort of material handling. If the guys don't want to do that in the box trucks, they can of course use this. It's very easy, very convenient to move around. You can lock the wheels. That's another safety feature.
Okay,
Of course,
good,
if it's
yeah.
in the truck, you lock the wheels down once you put it in place. But it's very easy for them to maneuver around the floor, and I've heard nothing but positive
Really good
feedback from everything.
Again, you've obviously worked with the customers. You mentioned when VRC came out, you didn't just say, "Hey, here's our tipper, take it or leave it." You worked with them to really design it for their specific need.
Yeah, we listened to everything that they wanted, gave it to them, and then went farther. We really try to build for all the products. We over-engineer everything. We build things to last, and we want to offer a quality product because that's the most important thing to us is customer satisfaction.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the longevity with the product, and you must be constantly getting new learnings as well. If you've got large military installations who are using your primary product,
Yes.
you can flow those learnings all the way through. So, do you find that you have a constant iteration on the devices? The tippers, new one every few years with learnings, or is the design pretty locked in and really solid?
I mean, we're on our 9th generation of biodigester.
Yes.
We always listen to our customers and we make improvements. The same will go with the bin tipper. We made improvements on the old tipper. I'm sure if there is any room for an improvement, it will be made.
So just constantly innovate based on the feedback you get from your customers.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got to ask you, how did you get into this?
Into the bin tippers?
Yeah.
Well, that's so I.
Well,
so
just
Nathan
even
Green reached out and we spoke, and I said, well, maybe we can do this, and then of course I got with our president Ian Milnes and our engineers and. said, yeah, we can do this, and. That's how
And
that's how
here
it
you are
started.
today.
So
Fantastic. And it's great. Is this the first time you've been to the show, or have you
this
been
is
to
our first show.
And
Yeah,
how's
so
it going for you?
it's good. Everybody's really nice. I've had a lot of positive feedback in emails and phone calls over the last couple of weeks leading up to it. Everybody is
Fantastic.
very, very nice and welcoming, and it's a very tight knit community, which I like. And yeah, everybody knows everyone, and everyone is very happy to introduce and yeah. It's different than any other show I've been to.
I think this industry is absolutely unique. People
Yeah.
are some of the most wonderful people that you'll meet,
yeah.
and I've never seen where competitors and all will come together and openly share. Because they want to, I think it's the the rising tide lifts all boats kind of mentality, and it's just been a wonderful group. So I'm glad you're experiencing that as well. That's fantastic. So obviously getting attention on the show floor for the people who are watching the live podcast or going to watch or listen to them later. How would they get hold of you?
Well, they can they can email me.
Yeah. Or your website is.
They can go on the website.
Yep. Which
Powerknot.com. That's POWERKNOT.com.
And they'll reach out to you directly.
Yeah. My email is william.wakefield. That's WAKEFIELD at powerknot.biz, B-I-Z. And
yep. Hopefully, plenty of people reach out to you. I think it's absolutely fascinating what you're doing. I just love the way that because when I went on the website at first, I'm like, I am so interested to talk to William.
you probably saw all the other equipment that we manufacture.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to see how this story came
turn
about.
the food waste into water, and then here's the bin tippers.
But it's a wonderful story again, how an industry that's maybe doesn't seem related, but some of the technology is so similar and can be. And I think you coming in can bring different insights, give people options that maybe they didn't have before. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So thank you so much for joining the podcast. I hope the show is really great for you, and you keep being a member of iSigma, and you'll enjoy this show for many years to come.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
You too.
get the camera on you in a second. Oh, need to turn them on. That
Do I
way.
need to hold this microphone?
You will. So if you can hold the microphone, and then the little trick, if you can. Why is that camera not? There you are.
Ooh.
And then we can get you down a little bit so you don't seem so. There we go. Best thing to do is to not look at it.
Okay, there. That's
Imagine it's like Zoom. You know, it's
Right.
kind of there.
Yeah, you just don't look at yourself.
No. So you'll notice that if the live, so we go over to me, and that's us now broadcasting live. I look like I need a shave. Jeez. We'll get this on auto, so the cameras go back and forth. Put it on record, and we are good to go. So welcome back, everybody, to the iSigma Live podcast. I'm joined by Shannon Fadida from Rios. Did I pronounce that right?
That's correct.
I did check before, and I still wanted to check again. But and it's your first time at the show, so thank you for being here. I want to learn a little bit about your experiences with that.
Yes.
Okay, but we'll do that later.
Sure.
In the meantime, tell me about you, and tell me about why are you at this show?
Of course. So yeah, this is a new one for Rios. So Rios is the recycling industry operating standard. It is a certified, well, it's a nationally accredited management system certification. It is designed for recyclers, and it is an agnostic management system certification no matter what commodity you recycle. So it is a solution for paper recycling, it is a solution for electronics recycling, and for people who handle both. So this seemed like a really suitable place for Rios to be and to educate the attendees.
So how long has Rios been around?
So Rios was started back in 2005, so just over 20 years. If you're familiar with ISRI, which is now known as REMA, so it is the Recycled Materials Association. So about 20 years ago, various members of ISRI got together and formed a board because they realized that there was really something missing. There really needed to be some sort of a management system, some sort of a special certification for recyclers that was really unique to their activities and their operations. So that's how Rios was born. It was kind of created out of a need, out of a lack of something. So they wrote the first version of the Rios standard. It was released to the public in 2006. And, the first recycling facility became certified in 2008. And really just from there, it has grown in popularity. The new version of Rios is Rios 2016, which is the one we're on now. And we're actually going through our 10-year update. So we're going to have Rios 2026 soon. But it is just a fantastic set of solutions for recyclers, similar to what the ISO standards do, helping to control health and safety outcomes, quality controls, and environmental impacts.
So I'm very interested in how a standard actually gets effectively born. And then how does it evolve? So it's interesting from 2016, 2026. What is that? Because I would think just the world in general in the last 10 years has changed almost beyond recognition.
This industry evolves every week.
Every week.
Every week. If you follow the headlines, you follow policy, governance. Yeah, you really are dealing with market shifts, export controls, global differences. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of moving pieces. Yeah. So, with such a rapidly evolving industry, one of the things that we really have to focus on are the things that are in our control, right?
Yes.
So there are things we don't control, the way that tariffs are dictated, and the way that the global markets perform, whether they're up or down. You can't control the weather.
God, well.
But there are a few things that you can control. And having a management system and a certification, it just helps you to have those controls. It helps you to decide, you know what, I'm going to have great workplace practices. I'm going to have great environmental impacts. I'm going to be the very best steward for my community. I'm going to be the best business for my customers. This is what the management system does for you. And having a certification proves it.
Yep.
You have to go through an audit every year, and you have to prove I'm doing all these things I say.
Yeah, I come from the medical device the last 8 years, so we had to do management review every quarter, and heavily documented that we are constant reviewing and measuring and monitoring.
Yeah.
That's why
all that specialty waste. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with that specialty waste, there's so much governance.
So much governance, yeah. But I want to go back to the question earlier, because I do find it fascinating. Do you have, is it like a guiding committee? So how do you go from the 2016 to the 2026 standard?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, it's great. So I do have a board of directors, which is an incredible guiding force for me. I'm the executive director of the organization, and my oversight is my board. I have a fantastic board made of 13 members from every aspect of the recycling industry. I've got those in scrap metal leadership. I've got those in electronics leadership. I've got tire. I've got just wonderful experts, veteran recyclers that are helping guide this organization. In addition to that, I also have a technical advisory committee. So my technical advisory committee is made up of 12 fantastically brilliant individuals who are helping with the technical guidance aspect of it. So I've got my expert board who are just giving me all of their expertise. Then I have this technical advisory committee as well. And they are coming from consultancy. They're coming from the certification bodies. They're coming from ANAB. I mean, I've got real pros that are helping to contribute to this next version of Rios. It's going to be the most fantastic solution. I mean, it's already... The core of what Rios is already an amazing framework.
You're building on top now.
And what we're doing is, we're identifying ways that we can continue to support and serve recyclers in the next 10 years. We're thinking of those parallel paths of what is a recycler going to be doing in addition to what Rios is already supporting. So it's going to be just a great, amazing tool of support.
Constant learn. So somebody who's certified today, what do they need to go to get that? Is it a recertification to go from the 2016 to the 2026, or what's the kind of the process around that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So once the final approved draft of the Rios 2026 or whatever it's going to be called, it doesn't even have a name quite yet. I would expect a draft to come out late in 2026.
Okay. Yeah.
So once that draft comes out and it will go through some approval processes, and then the final draft gets approved and it gets, into its final process with ANSI, because it's a nationally accredited standard, so it has to go through all the approvals.
Yep.
But once that happens, there is a period of time that every recycler will have. It's usually 2 or 3 years before they have to, so the way that the certification cycle works, it's a 3-year cycle. So you have a initial certification, and then you have surveillance for 2 years thereafter.
Surveillance audits, yep.
Correct. And then that, after that 3 years, you recertify. Okay. So there's probably going to be, like a buffer of time. Once that final version does come out and it's in place and active, that recyclers will have a little bit of time to transition.
Yeah, because it can be challenging. I lived through it, unfortunately, so it can be very challenging.
Sure.
So it's nice to be able to recertify against the existing standard while you're working towards updating your process and procedures.
We will give plenty of time. We will give plenty of time for that, knowing that it does take that time.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice. I mean, it's always nice to get onto the new standard as quickly as possible. But it can be a lot of work, because you do have to adapt.
Right, and recyclers should feel pretty good about the fact that the core of what Rios isn't changed.
Isn't changed, absolutely.
So they don't have to worry that there's going to be an overhaul. The core system itself is not changing. Everything you've been doing up to now is going to be perfect. but there's going to be extra things that are going to make it even better.
Yeah.
So it's just adding those extra, even better things.
Are you allowed to? Can we tell? It's not secret, I hope. Can you tell me a couple of those little things? Is there one or two that you don't mind sharing?
Well, so like I was
I like
saying,
secrets.
no, I mean, there's no secrets here. So really what we're doing is we're examining some of the language. We're looking at some of the language, and we feel that some of the language could be improved. The core intention of Rios won't change, but the language may improve. And
Take an ambiguity out and things like that?
right.
Or-
So, some terminology that people may think, oh, I wish it were written this way
bit
instead
more
of.
prescriptive and things like that?
Well, right. I mean, like, for example, there may be places where if we say it's for a recycler, maybe we change that to processor or change that to handler or something like that. There
Gotcha,
could be
yeah.
changes in
So
language.
it can be adapted
Reaching a
more
broader
broadly.
audience.
Excellent.
Reaching
Yeah,
a
I see
broader
that.
audience. And then there's all these other opportunities that we're really excited about because, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of evolutions in the industry right now. So if Rios can come alongside some of those other paths that recyclers are doing, so I'm talking about e-waste certifications, data destruction certifications, mobile certifications. So there's people that are just in the mobile space, like cell phone, tablet refurbishment, that are pursuing specific certifications.
Yeah.
If there are people who are in the states that that have the upcoming responsible end markets guidelines, like Oregon and Colorado. If you're a recycler who is impacted by those new protocols in your state, Rios could help with a little bit of guidance for any of these other paths that you're on.
Yeah.
So we want Rios to be a solution, a holistic solution. It's a good framework, but we've got these other things that can help you even more.
So is it a single, just so I'm clear, it's a single certification?
One certification.
So that's right. I like that. So in your analogy there, maybe it could be kind of like the trunk of the tree. This is the main part that if you get Rios, but then there's these tangential certifications that
That's right.
can just bounce on top.
Rios
and
can
it
be your
shouldn't-
backbone.
Yeah, and it
That's
shouldn't,
right.
shouldn't
That's
affect
correct.
it.
That's exactly right. So if you think about just the core of your business, just if you're opening a business for the first time and you're like, I just want to have just a good solid foundation for how I want my organization to operate. You think about how you protect your workers, your health and safety, how you protect your customer contracts. That's what Rios does. It provides tools to help you manage all those things.
And how does as you've mentioned, work with ANSI how does that then? Do you have those pathways kind of clear into certain other standards to say, hey, you can build back to the trunk of the tree and the branches analogy.
Right.
If you're here, this other ANSI standard
Sure.
or ISO standard would be very, very complementary.
Right.
Do you have that mapped out?
So what Rios does is it actually is an approved benchmark for, let's say you're pursuing one of the electronic certifications like R2 or eStewards.
Okay.
Rios is an approved framework system. You, rather than ISOs, you can do 3 ISOs, ISO 9001, 14001, and 45001, or you can do 1 Rios.
That seems very beneficial to somebody who's got a business to run.
Big cost savings.
Huge
Big.
amount.
You want to talk about the annual audit? Your audit cost is going to be so much lower.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Someone who was audited every quarter.
Then you understand. You know how those audit costs can add up.
Sometimes a week or 2 weeks. Every quarter I'm being audited.
And
yeah.
especially when you're a really small operator, when you're a really small guy, you've got 5 or 6, 7 employees, and you're looking at shelling out $8,000, $10,000 for audits. I mean, it's a lot of money.
And it's a lot of money and time and investment that you have to put into it.
So if you can simplify and streamline some of those processes, that's what Rios can
That's a real benefit and a real value for any operator today. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
do. Sure.
How does so back to the kind of being a tangent? Obviously, we've got the and I have to get the acronym, the CSDS, the Secure Document Specialist Certification.
Okay.
Within the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you looked at that and how can they complement each other?
I have not, but I'm excited to learn about it. I see that there's some opportunities here with the iSigma team, so I'm excited to explore that.
Yeah.
I think that there's some natural kinship between the tools that Rios offers and those type of tools. So I do see a path in the future.
It's a great place to, you're at the right place to now explore that
That's
and
right.
talk to people. I mean, it's really excellent to have
Yes.
that opportunity as well.
It is. I'm thrilled to learn more about how those things can complement one another.
Yeah, wow, good. It'll be fun to look back in a year and see the progress
Exactly.
on that one.
I think it's exciting. No, it's exciting growth. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So if I were an operator and I was really interested in this, maybe I've been thinking about those 3 ISO standards,
Yeah.
and again, the cost just puts me off. But I know
Right.
my customers want to see that I'm following in a more regimented way that makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
They know I'm compliant. How would they go about the process, and how long would it typically take?
So, timeline question, it really depends on a lot of things. It depends on how mature your organization is. How far along are you? How organized are you? Do you have a good handle on your sort of safety and your employment practices? How do things look for you now? Like, what is your starting point?
Yep.
And then you got to think about too, okay, what resources do I have to throw at this? Am I going to hire a consultant and just kind of let them take the
care of it.
lead and help me write my documents, get into my facility, help my workers, or am I really doing this myself? Because Rios is it's designed to be a DIY system. We have all the tools in place to help you do that. But that will take a significant amount of time devoted to it. So you really have to decide, am I going to hire a consultant to save the time, or am I going to do it myself and save the money?
Yeah.
But either way, you're using resources.
But I like that you give the option. I did I certified some warehouses in the work WERC standard.
Yeah.
And they had the same kind of approach where we decided not to bring in consultants.
Okay.
The standard was very, very well written, and we were quite versed in working to standards. So
Right.
we just went through it, and we would check in with them. How are we doing? And then work through, and until eventually they brought them in to do the audit.
Yeah.
We did a mock first, and then and that was the only time we needed it. So,
Sure.
but that was really helpful, and I'm going the long way around. But the reason I liked that was because we got all the staff involved, and so they were. It wasn't saying we were saying how do we make this standard apply to us, rather than having a consultant come in saying this is how it's done. Then we have to retrain
Slapping
people.
a binder on the table and saying, here's your new system. Get ready for your audit.
Yeah, and that just doesn't work. I mean, I'm sure it can
not
work, but it's
sustainable.
hard.
It's having consultants is a huge gift. It's a great resource, but you need to equally put resources towards spending time with your staff
Yeah.
and ensuring that they are all in.
But it's nice that you could do. I mean, I did the one extreme. You can do the other extreme, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I've seen that work
Yeah.
successfully. And the truth is that, as always, probably the best approach is somewhere blended in between.
Somewhere in the middle.
Where you use someone who's got experience, so you're not trying to learn
Right.
this from the
Exactly.
start.
That's exactly
and
right.
Everything, which is really very cool.
Yeah.
So we got the timeline. It's kind of up to the individual. Then they could
It
take a
is.
year. They could take
It
2
could take
years.
6 months. It could take 9 months. It could take a year, take 2 years. I mean, really, it's about where your starting point is, what resources you're devoting to it, and not only that, but what's your scope look like? Like, what are you planning to do with this certification? Are you going to simply refurbish cell phones and that's it? Or are you going to be a full life cycle recycler here? Are you doing it all? Are you taking it to end of life? So it really depends on so many factors. But for most people, it's about a year, usually about 9 months to a year.
That's a good guidance
Is
for people who
about
work
the
with-
average, yeah.
But it is a commitment. I mean, any of these certifications, they are a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's where, without that commitment, there would be no value.
Right.
And by putting the commitment in, you're showing your customers that this is something that's serious, that we're putting a lot of effort into.
Yes, absolutely.
Makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the payoff is just priceless.
Yeah. So taking the other side of it, I mean, people who don't have certifications like this, what's the risks that they're really taking?
Oh, man. Oh, wow. So you have to think about what you could possibly be missing, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just a guy who is by accident starting to receive some electronics from, you know, your paper guys, from your paper customers, you're starting to, those electronics are trickling in. And you want to keep your customers, you want to keep them happy, you want to figure out a way to service them, right? But you need a good way to do that.
Yes.
You can't just, you know, kind of figure out a guy who takes this stuff and just give it to anyone. You need to be sure that you're handling electronics responsibly. People's whole lives, you know, if you're getting contracts from businesses, from hospitals, from restaurants, from, you know, whoever you're getting your recyclables from, you need to make sure that you're taking good care of their data. And that includes their computers, their laptops, their iPads. So you really need to set the precedent with certification. And that's really how you prove that you're doing it right.
And I think, again, the show, like you said, it seems like such a natural partnership here because so many of these vendors are thinking about those very same things as well. And they, I've had some wonderful conversations, and they're spending a lot of time helping and educating, you know, customers how to use these tools. Then with the standard to glue it all together.
Right. It all becomes part of your, you know, your scope, your operating manual. All of these important aspects. You know, I've been at this show and it's been amazing. And I have met so many cool and interesting service providers, equipment providers, you know, handlers. I have met so many amazing people. And, you know, any one of these resources would be a great component to make a facility better. And we can help tie it all together. And then we provide a nice, tidy management system for you, and you can showcase that certification, and you just have so many business opportunities that open up to you with that certification.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So obviously people at the show, they can come and find you, and you have a booth here?
I have a booth here. If you walk into the sort of center doors, I'm going to be all the way to the left in the back corner.
Oh, they put you in the back corner?
It's okay. The light is beautiful.
I was just saying, it's like the milk in the supermarkets. Yeah,
I
everybody's
get the
heading
best
that
light.
way.
No, but I get the best light. I get the big plate glass windows. So
Oh, beautiful.
No, it
beautiful.
is. It's wonderful. I love it.
And for the people who are not at the show and want to get hold of you, what's the best way to discover you?
Reach out anytime. Visit our website, riocertification.org.
And that's RIOS.
RIOS certification.org. You just find me right there. You can send me a message on the website. You can click the tab that says learn about certification. You can apply right there on the website. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Those contact forms come straight to me.
Fantastic.
So I am happy.
Nobody in the middle.
No middleman. Nope, I'm it. So I am
Fantastic.
thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here to answer any questions. I'm thrilled to help you after the show. If you just don't know if it's the right thing for you, let's talk it out.
Talk it out.
Let's talk it out. And maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but there's only one way to find out.
Yep, pick up that phone.
That's right. Absolutely. That's right.
Shannon, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm looking forward actually to hearing over the next year or two, you know, how this grows with this industry, because it seems like, you know, and it's such a natural fit.
Yes. Well, we've got over 300 certified recyclers across North America. And I think that exploring this audience could really make us grow even more and have an even greater positive impact on the industry.
And new input as well, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yes.
brilliant. Thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time out of you. I hope the
you.
show works out really well for you. And as
Thank
I say,
you
I
so
look forward to checking in a year's time.
Me too. Thank you for the time.
Our pleasure. a quick check on the camera. So that's what it will look like when it's
Okay.
up.
All right.
Get you somewhere in the middle. I think that looks pretty good.
Okay.
And I'll flick over to me, and then we'll put on auto, and we can hit record, and we're live. So welcome back, everybody, to the iSigma Live podcast. I'm here with Randy Boudoin from AmeriShed. Randy, thank you for joining me.
Yep.
And thank you for your patience with me running over a little bit. So
That's okay. I know how it goes. So
it's good. Well, the good news is we got a little bit of time now, so we don't have any real time pressure on us. So
Okay.
that's helpful. But I'm really grateful for you coming here. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and a little bit about AmeriShed. And
well, I grew up in northern Michigan my entire life, and my dad was a mechanic, so I just kind of fell into that naturally. And of course, with shredders, you have to learn hydraulics and electric and all that stuff, so that'll come with time. So that's kind of what I fell into, and been with AmeriShed since 1988, actually. So that's been-
1988. Okay,
so
yeah.
I've been doing, and I've seen so much in this industry change. From the time I was just thinking that a minute ago. You got shredders that, when I started, you had a shredder that'd be a ton an hour. It was a huge shredder.
Yeah.
And now that's considered small. I mean, you're in multiple tons. So now we build shredders that'll go up to like 20 ton an hour.
Well, even I think back, I had a shredder back in probably the early 90s, and I look at how the technology compares to that. That was just such a, I don't know, basic beast, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
That's really what it is. Very basic, no frills on it. Or just dump paper in and feed it in and it shredded it.
Yeah, it was pretty basic. But now, with so much more technology around it, it's incredible.
Yes, it is. And we, basically we've added feed systems to it to increase the tonnage, to reduce manpower, and double stack stuff to save foot space in your factories, and all the kind of stuff to save people who work in minimum square footage. And it's all about money, because paper is obviously a commodity. It goes up and down in prices, so that has a direct effect on when people spend money and don't spend money. So I've seen that cycle. I've seen it go from the corporate side, that big corporations want to shred their own paper, to 2 years later saying they want nothing to do with it.
And then they get back again.
Then I've seen it come back. I've seen that cycle 3 times in my 25, 30 years I've been in this. So that's something to watch at. And then in the meantime, you had E-scrap come into it. So we build a whole line of E-scrap shredders too, which is a kind of a different animal, because you're shredding metal versus paper, so a whole different world. And then other opportunities that come along is product destruction, that people get into different things. We've had customers do, one story I always tell her was a customer had Budweiser signs. They did 10,000 of them, and they spelled Budweiser wrong.
No way.
Yeah, so then the customer ended up having a document shredder that they converted to doing like waste stuff. But anyway, you got like $10 a sign. It's just really good money, but it's just crazy stuff. And he also does all the Lego stuff too, like all the Lego displays. When they take them out of the store, they can't be sold, so they have to be destroyed. So he shreds all that. It almost makes you want to cry, because you know how much that stuff costs.
Yeah,
and they're
incredible.
Just end after end boxes going through that stuff. So I've seen quite a bit in my lifetime, And along obviously comes with the maintenance with that, like I said. And the biggest thing I see in maintenance to me is just lack of cleaning and lubrication. People kind of like try to put that off. They don't do it today, we'll catch it up tomorrow. Well, you can't catch up stuff. Shredding equipment, once you get behind, you're behind, and it's not like you can just pick it up. You can't. So that's the biggest thing I see, and the most costly thing. Because
I was just going to say, and that's a worry when, as you mentioned, with the cycles. If money's good, people keep up with certain things. If things are bad, they think, oh well, I'll just skip that.
yeah, we'll push it down the line a little bit further.
And that's from what you're saying. That's the worst thing they could possibly do.
Yeah, it costs them a lot more money in the end, because basically if you're not lubricating and stuff, then it ends up destroying a bearing. Then it spins that bearing in the housing. Now you not only had to replace the bearing, you have to replace a major part of the shredder, the housing. So it's just that preventative stuff. That's what I tell people. $2 worth of grease would have prevented a $10,000 bill.
This is a great example of something small. A small maintenance item that suddenly becomes very, very big.
Yeah, a little tube of grease is amazing how much money that can save you. And then even the cleaning of stuff, if you don't clean it out, you create friction and heat. It creates wear and the potential for fire, which that's the last thing you want to hear anybody in document destruction is fire.
Absolutely.
But like you say, it is like through the cycles as the paper goes down in price, like you say, people try to push things off, where that it it costs you in the end. So that's the worst thing I see out there is people not keeping up with the daily.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is to have a dedicated program that does that, and you can document that. Basically, I said you need to have checkoff sheets that people sign that they actually did that, because I always give that story, especially if they run 2 shifts, you'll think the first shift did it and the second shift thinks they did it, and then when it breaks down, they both point fingers at each other, and there's nothing, basically the owners saddle with the cost,
Yeah.
where it's totally unavoidable. And the other thing I see too is like certain wear items, you should keep those in stock, because somebody orders, say an input belt for a shredder, the belt might cost $500, but they need it overnight, so that's going to cost them an additional $4 or $5. It's expensive to ship next day air, so I always tell people with the wear items, try to keep them on your shelf, because it's going to save you money in the long run. If you don't have to, overnight it and get all that stuff in. And then kind of going down that line, not to pick on youngsters, but today kids always want to wear earphones and earbuds and stuff, and they don't hear a lot of the stuff going on around them. And then shredders are so important because there's a sound they make, and you can detect that sound changing. And if you can detect that, you can avoid a lot of damage a lot sooner. But like I said, that's one thing I see. They're just jamming to the music, and basically, I've been in places where the smoke's rolling off the belts, and they're squealing, and I'm like, you don't hear that?
You don't hear that?
And basically they don't until the smoke or they see fire or it stops running. That's when they realize, oh, we got a problem.
As a motorcycle rider, I can tell you that I can hear if something going wrong with a bike long time before the thing goes wrong with the bike. I usually am going, something's wrong here.
You'll either hear it or feel the vibration or something. There's something different. So that's kind of a trend I've seen, go away. And it's quite you go with the large document shredders, the multiple location ones. Their maintenance is, believe it or not, is much worse than a mom and pop.
Than a mom and pop.
Yeah, the mom and pop. They basically, that's their bread and butter. They take care of one, and I hate to say it, but it's they look at it. It's not their money. We've worked for a large corporation, so I see more of that. Normally their breakdowns are much more costly because they went so far before anybody detected or heard it. Then all of a sudden that cost is there, and then they're such high volume users too. Being down a day just hurts them very bad because they have such a buildup.
Yeah.
So
and it sounds like really most of the maintenance, you don't need to be. As you say, your background as an engineer,
right.
But you don't really need that level. It sounds like to make sure everything's running regularly, and then maybe you have like a tune-up once a year or something.
We have customers. I have some customers once a year. Some do twice a year. Yeah, and I always tell, that's a good thing you brought up, because I always tell people because usually in the document industry, at least in the shredding end of it, there's a lot of turnover, it seems like. I can train somebody this month, go back 6 months from now, and they're not there.
They're gone. Yeah.
So that knowledge doesn't transfer, they're never told. So I try to encourage customers to at least have them come out and look at it once a year and go over what they're doing good and what they're doing wrong, and I actually give them a service report detecting what I'm seeing and what they could do better. And I also will do an overview of how their process is working, entire process, because I've been in the industry so long, I can just tell about how the flow is going. If that flow isn't really efficient, then I can kind of help them out with that too. You move this or do that, or tweak a few things, nothing major, but a lot of times it makes a huge difference. It's like doing something every day and then somebody coming in and say that was obvious, but it's not to the person that's there every day.
Yeah.
It's got to be somebody, a new set of eyes looking at it. So I give them multi-facets. Not only I can repair the machine, detect stuff that's going wrong and do recommendations, but I can actually have them with the flow and look at their building and get it more efficient.
But I really like that, because I'll try and a story when I was running the distribution center. We had the large conveyor systems and all. If we didn't get the flow right, we'd have choke points, just boxes that have been picked, trying to get down to packing. And the conveyor belt would all be backed up, and now the conveyor belt stops, and now therefore the picking stops, and it would all just cascade downhill.
Yeah, it's a domino effect.
It's a domino effect because the procedure was wrong much further up. Something had got out of sync or something. So I love the fact that it's not just the maintenance. You can put pressure on a system like that conveyor belt. It's trying to drive this thing. Eventually, the rubber belts start to get stretched and all, and we would find where the choke points were. that was where we were doing most of our maintenance. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
What a shock.
Yeah, they want to shock 'em. Yeah.
So going back upstream and really having your knowledge to look at everything and say, well, that's going to put, you know, you're not getting a good flow or something it seems so logical to me now. Now you're saying it, but I'm not sure I would obviously see
It
that.
seems like you're in there every day. You don't seem to pick up on that stuff. Where, yeah, I've seen people complain about throughput on a shredder, you know, and I'd go there and look, and it's like they're only shredding 5 minutes out of an hour. How do you expect, you know, there's bottlenecks to get it there, and it's like it's not. In that case, I'd say, well, just give me paper, let me shred by myself, and then prove that it'll do what the 3-4 ton an hour. But basically, and that happens in people have multiple locations because they can't be everywhere at one time, and they got bottlenecks, and employees just don't realize it, and all of a sudden, you know, the shredder can't shred paper, there's no paper in it.
There's no paper
It's
there.
pretty simple, you know, from the outside looking in, but they didn't understand that, you know, so basically the bottom line is there was nothing wrong with the shredder, it was the process of getting the paper to the shredder.
It fits in very well with the conversation I just had with Shannon, because Shannon's on certification and process, and a lot of the other people I've spoken to, you know, process is coming up more and more. I've noticed it's actually been quite a theme that people have seen. We really do need better processes, because if you have multiple sites, you could have your center of excellence, you know, the one where you're trying out new things, but you should be cascading those, shouldn't you, to make
Yes.
sure that all the other sites are adopting that best practice.
Yeah, it's the best practice, because that happens, you know, you get one, and you'll get people say that, well, I got one site that runs, you know, 120% capacity, another one can't make 50, you know, same equipment, you know, same paper coming in, so why is that, you know? And basically, you're right, you got to have those processes, and everybody has to understand it in the system that this is the process we do.
Yeah.
And I think you have to embolden your employees too, and not, you know, basically take ideas and give credit for those ideas, and not just strike that stuff down, because that's where your best ideas are going to come from. The people that do it every day.
They know.
I mean, they know. You know,
Yeah.
they're gonna. And if you keep your ears closed to that stuff, you're never going to improve. So that's why I tell people that to us as a manufacturer of equipment, our customers are our best teachers. They are, because we can simulate everything we want in the shop, or think we did, and by God, something's going to come up that we never thought about, you know. So that's why I tell them all the time, and I love to get that feedback. You know, I said, don't be afraid to call me and let me know, and you know, because our company is more of a problem solver.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we build all kinds of equipment, but we cherish an opportunity to somebody say, hey, I got this going on, or I have this item. You know, what can I do? You know, we're working on a project now. Somebody has these. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but on a shopping cart, you used to have these calculators.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
you see them?
Yeah.
Well, he's got like 3 million destroyed,
3 million.
but there's a battery in it, so you can't shred them because you have fires. So you can't really afford to have an employee pop the covers off, take the battery out. So we're designing a machine now to skim that cover off and then pop the battery out in a turret type system, so that, you know, basically can load it up and it'll just do that, and then they can shred it and they don't have to worry about it, because obviously batteries and shredding is a huge industry.
Not and the two don't combine
They
too
don't
well.
combine. No, there's so many. That's, you know, people don't understand how fires start, but I bet 98% of the fires are from a battery that sneaks through and gets
Thinks through. Yeah, that was always a worry that somebody puts a battery in just even a paper shredding bin, isn't it? They don't know in a place. And
Yeah, we're actually working on a system now. We have actually got 2 systems out for EV battery shredding.
I didn't think. Yeah.
Yeah, we shred. Basically, we determined if you got a 30% charge or less, you can do it in what we call a dry system. You put a inert gas in there to control a fire. Beyond that, we build a shredder that shreds underwater. It actually, shreds the battery in water. But along comes with that, when you try to recycle it, it turns it into a slurry. Then you have to dry it, and it adds cost to be able to recycle it. So that's kind of the stuff we, you know, things like that we look out.
New challenges that you're
we try
working
to get
through.
on the cutting edge, because, you know, a battery, there's quite a bit of it recyclable in that battery, but it's a matter of separating and getting it shredded and get the two things to separate from each other. So that's kind of stuff we do, and like I said, the maintenance stuff we learn, and obviously electronic sensors and all that stuff is becoming more and more. Even with the shred trucks you see out, there's a bunch more sensors there used to be. And
Incredible. Yeah, as I say, the machine I used 25, 30 years ago was so basic, it's almost laughable.
they put a start forward,
It was
reverse, and
big, I think it had a start button and a big red stop button,
like
and that
we
was
used to-
about it.
Yeah, it's not that simple. Now
And that
you
was
got
your training.
Yeah, now you got PLCs and servos and all that kind of stuff. So It's all stuff that evolves with time, makes a better product, but it becomes less user-friendly.
Yeah, and I
should say, you know.
think you have kind of like a data capture whole unit around this as well now. So
Yeah,
is that to help with the compliance and chain of custody?
Yes, that machine actually basically takes a picture of the barcode, and then it takes a picture of the actual drive going in and a picture of it shredded. And it records all that information, and you have a thumb drive you put in the unit, and you can give it to the customer when you're done shredding. Then they have a complete record of all the serial numbers that were shredded and a visual picture of each drive being shredded. And then if it can't read a barcode, it will reject it and kick it back. So it won't simply just let it go and shred
Let it go.
So that way you have no, you're right, that chain of command chain of
Custody there.
is so important.
Yeah.
Because people need to know where it went and be able to verify it did, so.
And one of the people I was talking to earlier, I think it was either earlier today, may have been yesterday, was saying, for an IT manager, for example, all they care about is they need to know that was destroyed. They don't, at that point, they're not caring about anything else. So you need to be able to satisfy that for them. Otherwise, they're not going to be very happy.
No, IT people are very, a little bit quirky and that kind of stuff for good reason. I mean, it's all good information, but yeah, it used to be, people used to just bend them or pop a hole in the hard drive, and now it's, basically they want to see them shredded. You can degauss them, but you can't physically look at a drive and say the information's gone. By shredding it and looking at pieces, you feel a lot safer. So
yeah,
so
it's for the right audience, isn't it? Different audiences, want different things. We were talking about the recycling, as you mentioned a little earlier. That's becoming more, obviously not becoming, but has always been very, very important. But to an IT manager, they don't necessarily. Might be important as a secondary thing, but their primary is that is destroyed, and that data is never showing up in a data breach somewhere, so I don't lose my job.
They want to make sure, and if you can do it on site, that's even better. They don't like to let any of that stuff get out of it. So, I tell people it's almost a natural progression though, because you've already got customers that trust you with their most sensitive documents. So it's a really good lead in to do the electronic part of it too. So I think they kind of got a leg up on that. I think our customers do it because they build that rapport with their customer, and they've already trusted them. Like I said, especially if they get them to the point where they're doing off-site shredding, where they're allowed to take it off. They've already allowed them to do that. So the electronic is kind of a natural progression.
It does feel like it, doesn't it? And I'm sure as the industry's changing now, a lot of people are pivoting to to diversify, do more and more of these different things. So the more they can do using the best practices they've learned, and then those customer relationships that they built, that's better. You're not reinventing the wheel completely.
Correctly. And I think, to be honest with you, I think North America, the paper shredding is pretty well covered. To get new business, you got to take it from somebody else. So it's not like unopened. For years there was a lot of areas that you could just capture, nobody was there, but them days are gone. So most people are looking for additional revenue, and that's just a natural progression. From the do the electronic, and then even like I was talking about our product destruction of different things. It's crazy. There's things that people destroy. I mean, there's every day of the week there's things that are made misfit and they have to destroy them.
Yeah.
We had a customer did 300 Honda, nice leather coats. They had one stitch missing in the shoulder. You couldn't even see it unless somebody told you. And then they basically they shredded them. It was almost make you cry. Like $300 coats, like 10,000 of them they shredded just for that one stitch. But they made good money, that customer, off it. And like I said, basically that's additional revenue they can get.
Yeah, and I understand it from the manufacturer, because again they've got brand, and their quality that they want to make sure they're holding in the market. So it seems sad, but it's really the right approach for them.
Yeah, they don't want defective stuff to compete with the good stuff. So, and what would happen if they didn't do it. So.
Yeah, if we had anything that's suspected of a bad lot in the medical, it was gone. Even the slightest suspicion, it was gone. The whole lot.
The whole lot. Yeah.
We're not going to go through one by one saying, do we think that, even though it was a lot of money, the quality teams and the compliance teams were so good at making sure patient safety was number one. So to your point, it was all gone.
Yeah, we did a shredder for a cooler company that made the portable coolers same way. They would actually cut them in half and then throw them in their dumpster. People would glue them back together and sell them. They're like a high brand. So they ended up having to get a shredder to basically shred them into small pieces. Because that tells you they'll go to what extent to make them. So I've seen in my lifetime, Firestone was a good example. When Firestone had a problem with their tires, then they were showing up on the black markets. So they had, people were supposed to destroy them, they didn't.
Yeah,
They're selling them on a secondary market, so that was.
I've been on the receiving end of that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very uncomfortable.
So
yeah.
you get back to that chain of custody, that's what it is. I mean, you got to have documentation and proof that it was done. For the tire, they'd either punch a hole in the side or clip the bead, but that's what they're supposed to do. But like I said, there was like 10,000 that got out that were sold on the market, and unfortunately there was a few deaths that tires blew out. They shouldn't have been on cars, and then it's all down. So liability is everything today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the brand, I mean, such damage to a brand, you can understand why they don't want to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And and I see that occasion in our industry too, where people want to jump around e-stops and bypass some of the safety stuff. And boy, you got to be right on top of that. We send out a certified letter and say that you're not in compliance, and any damage or harmful effects to this is on you guys. So
Okay. And that comes back around to where we started, really around the maintenance and doing things properly, using the equipment, as it's intended to be used.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of stuff, a lot of that failure is because of poor maintenance. They don't clean it out, or there's debris in it, or something of that nature. Especially if you got any eyes that look at it, they're dusty, or they got something covered, or occasionally get something that'll snap and hit one, then it basically puts it out of adjustment. You got to adjust that back in. But there's so many people want to just go in your panel and jumper that out. It's not as easy today with electronics because it detects it now. But in the old days, you could do it pretty easily because you had these special keys and stuff, and every mechanic would have their own key in their pocket and put it in there and then walk inside of a area they shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
So that there's always somebody looking to fool a system somewhere, but
Isn't it just?
but again, like you say, it boils back down to just being honest about it and doing your maintenance. And then you can avoid a lot of those problems.
I always think that most people want to do the right thing. It's just, as you say, there's turnover of staff and people are busy. So it's just keeping that rigor around training. I love the idea of you coming back in every 6 months or 12 months, either to do training, but as you said, you're doing new things, which could be something that somebody didn't know about, so they could pivot or add additional shredding services that they didn't know about. But by you being there, you get that opportunity to share that.
Like I said, our customers are our best teachers, so we improve our equipment every day. There's things that come around. So if I go out to the field and see, man, if we could add, and most things we can retrofit the most existing equipment. So if we could add that to your equipment, it would eliminate this or that, or give you more production, or be safer, all kinds of things. So that looks, and plus I get to look at if you're doing something shady. I shouldn't say that, but I mean, and some owners wouldn't know it, so you are protecting the owner. If it happens to be a mechanic out there that's doing, bypassing stuff, and I know the pressures to run and keep things going.
Yeah.
But at some point, they always say safety first, and it really is.
Yeah, and we know, again, I always take the view most people have the best intentions, but sometimes they're under pressure. You can't shut the piece of equipment down, so they do the quick workaround with the intention of going back to fix it properly later, but it's working now.
Right.
And so they can't shut the machine down to do the proper repair, and now that Band-Aid is kind of in there permanently, and sooner or later it breaks.
It breaks, and the longer it goes, the less you think of it. So that's, it's all time. Time is, sometimes your worst enemy when it comes to that.
It really is. And the worry about those Band-Aid fixes, again, becomes safety then, because that is no longer a safe system anymore.
No, it isn't. And like I said, there's a ton of owners that don't know that. They're not in the day-to-day operations, or there's several owners don't really know the equipment at all, which they don't need to know. I mean, they have people employed to do that, but like you say, they need to know. But that's a value I see to do some retraining, look at the equipment, see if there's any, basically if you're doing things right, I'll pat you on the back, and if you're not, I'll tell you could be doing things better. And then I can offer the suggestions of things that may make your workflow better. And then if we got additional options to add to that existing equipment, because we got shredders that people feed by hand yet. We could put a metering system on there, double our production, and probably get away with one or less 2 employees. So you got to do the math to figure that out. But there's things that happen. Even our feed systems get better as we develop more and more of them. Because obviously we all know paper doesn't always show up in a nice loose leaf.
No, unfortunately.
Band it together, and you got computer printout, and I thought that'd be gone 20 years ago, but it's still showing up in this record. You
They
know,
really.
people store
Well,
records for.
I always think when I go to the airport, they still got their dot matrix printer at the back going
Yeah,
check
yeah.
at the check-in desk. Haven't they got rid of those yet?
Yeah, it's not just yeah, you're right. Printing on basically cardboard tickets, you know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a thing of the past. but,
Incredible. You see the pilot come pick it up. It does make you wonder, doesn't it?
yeah, well, they say that's pretty animated, or not animated.
Antiquated.
Yeah, antiquated. Yeah,
That was it, yeah.
system, even their whole, even the flying, the radar and all that, I understand, is not the latest and greatest.
It all keeps it very interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, look, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think the message, the real strong message, I think for everyone is just put a little bit of effort into that maintenance.
Right,
Don't let it go slack.
Right. Stay on top of it. That's the main thing. You got to stay on top of it because a couple bucks today will save you thousands later on.
And that's-
Literally thousands.
And that's a really good message to leave this with, isn't it?
Some of our big shredders, they have $5,000 bearings. Each main shaft has a $5,000 bearing. $2 or more than that now.
Yeah.
Maybe a $5 tube of grease would have prevented that whole catastrophe.
Incredible.
The cost of doing that, your downtime, and the frustration of doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's amazing. But like I said, that is the number one. The cleaning and lubrication is the main lifebloods of virtually any equipment. I mean, if you don't change your filtered oil in your car, you're going to have
the same problems. Yeah.
Yeah. We've made better oil and stuff. You can go longer, but you still can't go forever. You still got to change it. It might be longer intervals, but you still have to do that maintenance.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Very
much what-
good. Do you know, it's fascinating to talk to you because you mentioned 1998 you said you
Yeah,
started in this?
1998.
And
No, 88. I'm
88.
Sorry, 1988.
And I can just hear your enthusiasm still for this, which I
Yeah.
think is absolutely amazing and wonderful.
Yeah, I'm almost 69. I'm still going. So.
Still loving it.
Yeah, still love it. I do. That's yeah.
Well, I encourage everybody to come and find you on the show floor and get a little bit of your wonderful energy and your enthusiasm for this because it's the industries continue to change and evolve. And as you say, you're coming up with new ways to shred new things that I hadn't even thought of.
Yeah. And we are the problem solver company. We love to take unique items and make them work for you or try to work out a situation or a solution. So.
Wonderful. Well, Randy, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the iSigma Live podcast. And I look forward to, I'm going to come down to the show floor in a moment. So I'm looking forward to coming and seeing everything you got down there.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
All right, take care, Randy.
Yep, bye-bye.
fabulosity. So good. So how are you?
I'm good. And you?
I'm tired. How did your session go? Was it this morning?
I had one this afternoon and two more tomorrow morning.
2 more tomorrow, right?
One down, 3 to go.
Yeah, I'm 2 down now, so I'm just slightly
So close.
slightly
Your
ahead.
other one's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, my longer one. Although
Oh,
the
yeah.
tomorrow one's easy. I feel like
'cause
that's
you're,
an easy.
You're not, you're doing that coding thing. That sounds so cool. No?
Yes. Oh no, I'm delighted by it. I'm like absolutely delighted to do that one. So, where would you like to go?
I was wondering, what are we going to talk about?
Well, I think we could talk about a lot of stuff. Let's talk about the business, obviously, and because I've wanted to do this for a long time. I have no question. Like I didn't come. I just want to have a conversation.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
And just kind of go wherever it takes us.
I'm down with that.
Are you? Yes, please.
Okay.
It looks really good with.
It's really weird to hold one because I used to usually wear it on my lapel. I'm not used to holding them. I'm so lazy.
Yeah, I like labs too, but I there's no easy way to do these kind
No.
of things with labs. So,
Is
okay.
this close enough, or does it have to be?
I would say you don't
Closer?
have to put it in your mouth, but like keep it within an inch or two. If it comes down here, then the thing goes, I can't hear you,
Okay.
and then that doesn't work for us.
I'll feel like I'm singing. That's what I feel like.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Renee, welcome to the iSigma On Air podcast, where I think you're the hardest working person at the conference this year.
I don't know about that.
Well, I know I had 3 presentations, and then I looked at your schedule and I went, I had the light schedule.
Yes.
So how do you get on this many slots?
I don't know. Nate called me in December, thankfully in December, and asked very nicely if I would do 3 this year. Last year I did 2, and I thought that was hard.
Right.
And then after Shred School, which was in November, he called me in December and said, I really have a big favor to ask. And I took a deep breath and I said yes, because I don't know how to say no.
Right. I understand that challenge.
Even though I was definitely freaking out on the inside already. Yeah.
So, okay. So, for those who might not know you, because I think my mother's watching right now,
That's
the
awesome.
live stream.
Hi, Mom.
Yes, say hi to Mom. So let's go back in your story because if somebody doesn't know who you are, and a lot of people in the industry do, because you speak 3 times and you've been around forever, and you're a corporate partner, and so a lot of people know who you are, and you're just a rock star in general.
You're too kind.
But if somebody doesn't know you, tell us your story about how you got into this crazy industry and what you do, and like give us the background a little bit. Give us the backstory.
Okay. Well, I work for Data Security Incorporated, which had its 40th birthday in December. So we are special in that we design, manufacture, sell, and support digital data equipment. But our equipment so we do all those things. And most of our competitors just do one, or
Right.
they outsource something. We do all of that in Lincoln, Nebraska. So we're special that way. And then all of our products are geared towards the highest specification of standards for data destruction. So for the most part, the National Security Agency. So that's what we do in a nutshell. 26 years ago, I started as a sales rep and worked my way up through sales management to project management to yada, yada, yada. And now I'm the chief operating officer. So now it's my baby.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of story in there.
There's a lot of story in there.
Okay, so
there's
when you
also family layers in there too. I
Right, so
got married
that's-
to the boss.
Okay, so before you were a sales rep there as the starting place, 40 years ago, whose company was this?
My husband now.
Yes.
His older brother started it 40 years ago.
His older brother?
Yes, his older brother. He is an entrepreneur. He is very good at coming up with businesses, getting them off the ground, and then handing them off to be run. So when I started, his brother Eric, my now husband, was running data security at the time. And so I worked for him. Until
Okay, but
eventually-
wait. There's some good here. There's some good story here. So you're this sales rep who comes in and gets a job.
Yep.
And
I actually hated him at first.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, not hate. Hate's a strong word.
hate's a strong word.
Hate's a strong. I
but
didn't hate him, but he was my boss, and I didn't. He had a dry sense of humor, and I didn't get that he was making jokes. It took me a little bit to get to know him. It didn't take that long. I think we were dating within a year, maybe 2.
wow. So you guys now, within a year, you're dating.
Or 2. I'd have to
Or
go
two.
back and
Okay.
do the math.
Yeah, it's a while back.
It's a while back.
Right. So you two start dating, but you're building this company, which has already been around for a bit. But where was it when you came in? Like, what was the essence of the company when you started?
We were still very small
Okay.
when I started. We were probably a $6 million company, 6 to 8 million, and then I was actually the top salesperson. I broke everybody else hated me because I just kept outselling them. I was the first person to sell $1 million, first person to sell $2 million, yada yada yada. And eventually, as we grew, and then eventually I took over as a company. We grew, and we have other companies too. So my husband is now the president of all of our companies. He stopped being the president of data security and moved to president of all of our companies.
Right.
And I took over the trajectory of data security. And so as we grew, we also physically grew. We had to move buildings. We're no longer in the same building as each other. So I have kept... when I took over, we were probably a $10 million company, and now we're a $20 to $25 million company. That is tooting my own horn just
That
a
is
little
a
bit.
good horn to toot. So you have grown this company. So I was thinking about it the other day, and I went, well, why are you here? I know that because you said government security,
Mm-hmm.
like NSA, kind of that kind of stuff. That's your kind of product base. So what causes you to come here and actually be a corporate partner here?
Yeah, I
What's
think
the
it was.
connection?
I'd have to go again. Time flies, right? So easily 15 years ago, maybe 18. Bob Haskins.
Yep.
With Gigabyter, he was getting a product tested by the NSA, and we lived in that space. So that's how we met Bob. And Bob became a dear friend of ours, and so
Right.
he introduced us to NADE and Bob Johnson way back then, and
okay.
said, "You need to know these guys. They know the NSA. They're my connection to the NSA." And so we just kind of all worked together and collaborated. And I believe in this industry. And even then with Bob Johnson, we were able to bring value in regulations and
Right.
connections to the government, NIST and the NSA. So it's always been a good collaboration for easily 15 years, maybe 18 or 20 by now.
So within because I know you're a corporate partner, but you're more than a corporate partner. But like, do shredding companies and data security companies or record storage companies buy your equipment then, or do they resell it? Like, what's the connection around here?
Yeah, buy our equipment. So
Okay.
we sell our equipment for people to have and use. So we love this industry and support it because there are companies who can't afford to buy our equipment. So they need to buy through the seller, right? Or through the service provider. And we need that.
Right.
We believe in the data protection for whoever it is. And we know not everybody can afford to own their own equipment. So we're supporting you guys in that we want our devices in your warehouse, in your truck, so that you can go support those people who can't buy our equipment or aren't going to.
Yeah. And so what kind of equipment does the industry buy from you versus the government, for example? Is it all virtually the same
It's
stuff?
all virtually the same stuff. Yeah, it's all driven by what the industry is looking for, but
Okay.
all of it basically the same stuff. Yep.
Okay. So you lead this company. What are you seeing in the horizon? What's unfolding for you?
Oh,
What's
great question.
What's coming? Not necessarily next year, but 3 to 5 years out. What are you seeing as sort of the evolving trend or opportunity? And I'll just give context because this is about you. But I've seen over the last couple of years in iSigma, I feel like the industry has bent towards ITAD, right? Like
Yeah.
it used to be shred trucks and shelves and things like that. The merger happened 7 years ago now, I think. And in the last few years, I feel like the whole industry has leaned the trucks. When you walk around the truck lot, you get trucks that are ITAD-E that never were here before. So I mean, I see that evolution in the industry, but you're at a different level in the industry in terms of just your perspective and what you see. What are you seeing, not 2 years out, but 5 years out? What are you guys thinking about where the future's going?
I think the standards are going to change. Well, I know they're going to change because we're working on it. There's a couple employees, myself and my colleague, that are part of security working groups, IEEE security working group, and we're helping to write standards, whether it's the IEEE standard or NIST, to help advocate for the different types of sanitization to include more destruction, more degaussing, more things that we do in a more clear way so that industry can follow them easier. So I think that, yes, there's more ITAD, there's more, everybody's upgrading all of their devices every day faster than before.
Right.
So there's going to be more need for us. The keynote talking about the data centers, right? There's more need for us, and everybody needs to be aware and follow the same standards, because the standards right now are still very confusing and kind of all over the place.
Okay,
So
so-
I'm hoping that the future has a clarity in standards.
Right. So the challenge is that the standards that are out there, both government standards and business corporate standards, are
Industry.
industry
Yep.
are fuzzy. What's the challenge?
Yeah, that they're not clear. Yep.
Okay.
Fuzzy's a good word. I like that. They're fuzzy.
Okay.
They're
so,
fuzzy. Some of them are old. Some of them
Right.
just need to be updated with the latest technology. There's a lot of updates that need to be made.
Yeah. So as you sit in these environments, in terms of updating those kind of standards, what are you pushing? What's clarity mean versus fuzzy? Like what is that? Like what are you trying to get this thing to be?
Clearer language for
Oh,
sure, and then just clearer parameters. I was having a conversation today that one standard says this shred size, another one says this shred size. One doesn't say shredding at all, which is true, and another says disintegrate. So standards in the language and the types of technology and the techniques to make it more clear. Some are so old they don't even have degaussing as destruction, which it is. It's no longer purge, because when it was purged, that was for analog. Yes, you could purge analog VHS, right, and reuse it. Nobody has analog VHS anymore.
Right.
All of today's computers, magnetic media is digital. So
Right.
once you degauss it, you cannot reuse it. It's done. So it's a destruct technology. All of the national security agencies
Right.
stuff is destruct. And so that needs to be updated in the language, because it's
got
old.
it.
That's old.
Got
If that
it.
was true at one time,
Yeah.
it's just not true today.
Interesting. So are you creating new technology? Like, are you creating new equipment, or is the equipment you have do you for the next couple of years? Or are you building new high-tech, whatever that means, new machines to do new work now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Especially on the magnetic side. There's advancements in magnetic hard drives that are coming out that our degaussers may not be able to do. So we're always working on the new technology. Yep.
And how many people work for you?
There are 37 total full-time employees.
Really?
Yep.
And so are you actually doing your own manufacturing?
Yeah.
Like you do the full...
We do it all. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I've got 2 engineers here with me this week and 1 salesperson. But at home, we've got 7 engineers, 7 salespeople, 14 in manufacturing, a handful in admin. So yeah.
And
So one of the engineers, I was on this. We're working on a new degausser, and he was telling me about what he blew up in the lab before he left on Thursday. And so
Really?
yes, we're always working on advancements in technology to keep up with. We go to all of the science out there, all of the conferences that help us stay up in technology. We know what the hard drives are going to be before they're out in the market, so that we have a degausser that can take care of it, or a disintegrator, or a hard drive shredder, or whatever it is. So our mantra is to have a product that meets the National Security Agency's standards and specifications for whatever the latest technology is. And we have not failed that yet.
Wow, that is really cool. So, that particular niche, niche. I don't know
Yeah,
which
right.
way we say it. But that knowing the NSA standard, then or at least what's coming, gives you advance warning of what the world looks like, what it's going to look like, and then you're building equipment to support that. And then why you're a rock star in this industry is because you come back and tell us what's going on.
That's what we try to do.
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you for the rock star, though. That's very
No,
kind.
no, but everybody knows you're a rock star. So what excites you right now? What makes you really excited about the work you're doing? Is there a part of it, or is it just old hat now and you're just bigger, better, whatever?
No,
or is there something in under the hood that you are really passionate about and excited about?
All the people, all my friends here, and helping everybody. We don't always get a direct reward for being here or direct sales. Right. That's the word,
Right.
We don't always get a lot of sales from being here, but I love helping everybody be better at their business or learn something new. Even if it's just to help with one quote, one RFP, maybe you don't get it, maybe you do. We're here to help. We love the connections. We love the people. And that's why I accepted 3 speeches, because I do like to do them.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of good, I know I'm helping.
Yeah. So, but one of your speeches, so I looked through all of the stuff, and 2 of them are kind of what you talked about, is this industry standard
Right.
stuff. And then there's this other one. So I want to kind of double click on the other one. So tell me about this. Is that tomorrow?
It's tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Okay,
At 8 a.m. Because who's going to,
Nobody is listening to this from who's here.
Right.
Like nobody's. So we've got this moment for you to tell me what you're talking about tomorrow. Can you kind of give me the lowdown?
Yeah, well, I'll give you the full story. So I had actually, Nate had called me and said, so I had submitted 2, because you get to submit 2. And I'd submitted one on powerful leadership, but it was about women needing women, like women need other women. And when he called me and he said, I really want you to do 3. I want you to do the ITAD one. I want you to do, but I want you to do a regulations piece, because that was missing. And I hadn't submitted it. And he's like, you're the best person.
Right.
Well, thank you. And he said, but I want you to do leadership, but I want it to be inclusive. I don't want it to be just a woman's only room. So he sent that challenge to me. So thought about it, hung up the phone, thought about it, had to process through. I'm like, okay. So I came up with Powerful Leadership Needs No Gender. I can't remember the title, but basically how everybody can learn from today's powerful women in leadership. And it's not a woman's thing. It's not a feminine thing. Everybody can do these skills that women bring to the table and make us better leaders. And so I'm bringing to the table the 3 things that I see. And I did a bunch of research, and I'm quoting a bunch of really cool women that I do not know. I would love to meet one of them, any one of them. Famous women that, and the things that they taught me in my research of them, and how we can all be that way, but bringing my own stories to the table.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be fun.
So what was the thing when you were prepping that made you go, oh, that's cool? When did you get a light bulb moment?
Prepping for that one.
Yeah, well, as you're prepping for it and as you're thinking through all that stuff, when did you get this moment where you went, oh, I see what I've done, or I see how I've done something, where it just, all of a sudden you went, it connected?
It was truly, I was like, oh, okay, so I looked this up. Well, I do that. And then I kind of wrote, well, that's how I do that. And it was through the whole thing. And I was like, oh, maybe I am a good leader.
Yeah.
Kind of validating, but I didn't do that on purpose.
Right.
So that was a fun thing to see.
There's something really cool about putting a presentation together when the thing you're talking about weirdly resonates in you. There's the technical talks where
Right.
you really know it, right? And then there's these other ones that are, I don't know, I call them esoteric. They're not, but, and then as you're doing it, I find this for myself all the time, is like you get in there and all of a sudden you go, oh, that's really interesting. And it like you said, it validates this historical thing that's happened, or it validates the way you've looked at something, because now you're researching and you're trying to give it to somebody else. That's the whole
Right.
point of speaking. We're giving it away.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there you go, yes, that's so cool.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Yesterday in the one I did, and I don't want to talk, but like just contextually, when I think I said it in the presentation yesterday. When I got that line, it finally hit me. That line: "Don't make yesterday's
Oh, that was a good one.
judgment tomorrow's prison."
Yes.
And I went, yes. There's something so cool about when you just grab a concept like that resonates in you. And I think the thing is, we're doing it for other people, but so often it becomes this thing for ourselves that adds confidence, adds a perspective or a way of structuring something in your head.
Yeah. Your presentation, by the way, yesterday was fantastic.
No,
I
thank
loved
you.
watching it, and I learned so much from it.
Thank you.
That was great. And that was one of the quotes that I was like, yes. And your story was a really good example.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so often, and I know you do this, and I know that's why you get asked back. And I've watched you for many years do this. Is you often come and you give freely, right? And you don't often, what appears like you don't get much back, but what do you get back from all this? Like in a real, honest, vulnerable way, what do you get back from all
The
this?
friendships.
Yeah.
No, I know I'm repeating myself, but I don't have a better answer. It's true. I truly love all the interactions that I get. And I love all the text messages later and the LinkedIn comments. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love the people.
Yeah, that's something really cool about this industry, and I talk about it regularly. Is really big industries, you find it really hard to make these kind of friendships.
Yep.
But in small industries, and this is a small industry,
It is. Yep.
but there's something really vibrant about a small industry because you see people, you get to know people, and there's this deeper connection that seems to form because you're not in a room of 10,000 people. You're in a room of 300,
It's so
400.
it is, and it's so much easier to actually do the presentations rather than I was part of a keynote at a conference that had 6,000 people. That was I was like, if I can do anything in front of 6,000 people, I can do. But it's so much easier when
Right.
you're friends with everybody in the room.
Yeah, and you
So
know
much
their
easier.
stories, and you know
Yeah.
you know where they live, and you've seen them over 10 years, and that's what I love about doing it. It's because like I know these people, I know where
Yeah.
they live and
We're all
what they do,
friends.
and we have friendships, and it makes it really cool. What is the thing that not about the industry so much, but about the greater context that either freaks you out, scares you, or gives you incredible hope? About I mean, we've heard talks about AI, and we've heard, the world seems to be changing, and your business, I think, is uniquely positioned to benefit from it in many ways. But what kind of concerns you right now? What worries you?
Well, I would say that whether it's the rise in data centers because of AI or just all the data everywhere, that you don't always know where your data is.
Yeah.
Even me, right?
Yeah.
I know most of my places, but we use Dropbox. We use, I don't know what they're doing with it, and that still freaks me out.
Yeah.
And I know better.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, you're like an insider.
am,
You're like a deep
and
insider,
I know
and you still go,
better,
I
and
don't know what the heck.
still use these things, on my personal information. Nothing for our work stuff, but not our AP. But yeah, and it still freaks me out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then you layer in what's happening now, where you're actually feeding it information to try and get
Right.
perspective, or,
Yep.
then you go, who knows?
right, I
Who
don't know
knows?
where that's going to end
Yeah,
up.
it's crazy.
Yeah. And
So-
apparently, we're all going to look like robots, or robots are going to look
No,
like us.
we are going to be robots. You're basically you're just going to have robots at your factory soon.
Yeah,
and you don't ever have to pay them.
That's what I was asked by my two engineers. At what point are you replacing me? Can you tell me?
Right,
up
tell me now.
front? Yeah. Wheel.
So, what advice would you give someone who wants to be a part of this industry? Let's say they want to come in and they realize that maybe the paper business is sort of peaking out, and there's still paper, but it's changing. But they want to come into this industry. They want to be a service provider. What advice would you give them?
Do a business plan. I believe in those, to do some research and figure it out. But for the most part, you don't have to jump all in. You can do it slowly. You can figure out what services you're going to provide. But everyone needs data destruction. I mean, that was my presentation today. Every single regulation out there, every single rule, every data privacy, there's 144 of them around the world that says that we have to destroy the data. So it's written requirements that every single entity out there needs to do it. Now, that doesn't mean they know they need to do it. So you have to educate them. There is a huge market out there to get into destroying data. And there's so much you can do with it to earn money off of that, whether in the ITAD world, you can, with the collection, you can charge.
Yep.
With the destruction, you can charge. You can recycle it and earn money that way, or work with a recycling partner either way, refurbishing or recycling. There's so much market out there and revenue options that it gets overwhelming. I know people are like, where do I start? Just start somewhere. Just do something.
But the challenge I see, and I have conversations about, is especially in this world, it feels like it's a relatively easy access point, right? So, and then you have sort of the big generic ITAD buyers who just buy everything, right? They,
Yep.
And they just give it, they take it for free, and they're not protecting it, and so it's a really hard place to go into when there's this over here, and you feel like I got to fight that,
Right.
So from because you have an inside view of NSA kind of thinking, how do you position yourself in this side, sort of this high data security side? How do you position yourself in that way versus just trying to live by the mass sort of recycler group?
I think you got to raise the risk. You got to raise that scare just a little bit, right? Like, I'm naturally scared because of what I know about my data, like I just said, right? You have to find those stories, find those quips that you can use to educate whatever market you're going after, and make yourself stand out as the expert that's going to protect them and give them that relief of protection. And that's how you would stand out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mine is only an opinion.
No, but it's a really informed opinion. So you said personally, Dropbox, different things like that. So, but you also indicated that you have a different way of thinking about it internally. So how do you think about data internally, because you understand so implicitly the risk associated with data being out there? How do you guys deal with it internally without giving away more your thinking about it? How do you think about it to protect your company?
We have a hard line in the sand about where we use the cloud and where we don't, basically.
Really?
So we have our own servers.
Okay.
Yep. And that also comes with being a government contractor.
Right.
We have to comply with a whole bunch of rules, and sometimes it's just easier to keep it in-house and not comply with all those rules.
Got it.
Because we don't have to, and we're not processing classified information. We're
Right.
just selling to the government, but we have to follow a lot of the same rules that people who are processing classified information do. So it's just easier, but it also it's better protected when you keep your IP in-house. And our IP is our design stuff, our customer
Right.
information, or yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I feel a slight level of jealousy, I have to say, because you have done so many cool things for this community, and I'm slightly jealous because your rock star status really precedes you, and
Yeah, I'm gonna have a big head. You're making me. That's very kind.
I don't know if you've been told enough how grateful this world is to you for what you do.
I have not. That is
Yes.
so sweet.
So, because I've been in the industry a lot of years, and I've watched and observed and watched people who are part of this community, and you have shown up and just given. Like, you just keep giving and giving and giving and giving. And I know, this year 3 presentations, but that's not all you do. I know you do way more. But I just think it's important for you to hear from me on behalf of the community how cool you are and what a rock star. And thank you for all of the amazing work you do. And we're very grateful.
You just made my day, my month, my year.
Good. Well, thank you. And thank you for telling us about your life and your story and all you do. And it's been delightful to have you here.
Thank you.
Nice work.
That was fun.
sexy beast. Oh, yeah. Dude, that's impressive. Okay, you do have to hold it. Don't even look out there, and don't look at the cameras. Just look at me. That's the cool part about this. When you're on Zoom, you're seeing each other in your face all the time. This is just us, you and me.
Is my close enough? Does it have to be really?
It needs
close?
to be. It needs to be 2 inches.
Okay, like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, here we go. Greg Haber, welcome to iSigma on Air. It's nice to have you in the podcast booth.
It's a pleasure to be here, Tom.
So, you and I have known each other a long time. We've been at conferences and events for, 30 years, 25 years. I don't know how long it's been. It's been forever.
Something like that.
And you have more gray hair than I do now, I think. But I'm not
You
sure.
actually have a lot more hair than I do, so I take it in any color.
So I remember when I first met you, you had a little booth and you had about 800 locks
Yes.
hanging off the booth. So tell me a little bit, for somebody who doesn't know you, tell me a little bit about that backstory, and then we'll get to your current story.
Sure. So Babico was a company I acquired about 30 years ago.
Yep.
And had very limited products in a very limited region. So one of the at the time they were really focusing on liquor, tobacco, and a little bit of garments. So when I got involved in the company, I saw tobacco, the writing on the wall. So I started diversifying and looking for other avenues, looking for other sectors to do business with, and looking for value add. So how can I help a different industry? So somehow I heard something in the news about a very prominent company in this industry, and they were on the news for a very big loss.
Right.
So I said, I can help them. So I started reaching out, and I made some progress, and it turns out that they said, wow, this is great. You could stop that from happening. How? And I showed them, and then they had some other kind of a loss, and they said, can you do something on this? I said, absolutely. So really what I do is I look for problems, and I build solutions.
Okay, so before we go on from there, because we don't need to name the company, but what
course
did
not.
you build those first two? What were the first two solutions you provided?
Well, the first
as an
one,
example.
So the locking systems that I built,
Yeah.
they automatically lock. So instead of putting a secondary process like a padlock, you put it on the door. It's permanently mounted. You close the door, and it automatically locks.
So what the reason for the loss was because
They didn't lock it. They
Driver forgot to lock it.
Yeah, they didn't use a padlock, and
Right.
they didn't lock the door.
And
Yeah.
so somebody opens the door and they have a loss.
Yeah.
Got it.
Or maybe they didn't close the door and they drove off. I'm not sure.
Oh, right.
To this day, I don't really know the details.
But the issue was driver error created a problem, but what you came in with a lock system that auto locks created a solution that now the driver doesn't have to remember other than close the door and it
Right.
auto locks. Okay.
Exactly. So I control human behavior
Right.
in a very small sense.
So you've done a number of these over the years. Tell me your favorite 5. Like, what were your favorite 5 cool inventions you made to deal with a customer problem?
Wow.
Or 3, I don't know.
Okay.
Or what just stands out to you at this moment?
Well, I mean, the original locking system was a roll-up door.
Yep.
So then I had to come up with a solution for a swing-out door because certain industries, for some reason, were
Right.
using a swing-out door. And I thought, at the time, majority of companies were always roll-up doors. And then I don't know why the industry changed when they went into a swing-out door. So I had to come up with a similar solution. So I did that.
But our swing out door, like I've seen those, you see trucks parked in the middle of the street, and sometimes it's the door on the side of the truck that swing out, where the ones in the back are the roll-ups,
But now they make trucks in the back are all swing out as well.
Right. Okay.
So I had to come up with a different solution that operated the same way. So you close the door, and by putting the handle in the right position, now it's automatically locked.
Right, because those, they like you come down and you lift them up and yeah. Okay. So, and that one creates, when you put it in the right place, then it auto locks.
Automatically grabs
So
just as
cool.
well.
Okay. So I've also kind of observed you over the years, and you're not just in the lock business. I mean, you're doing other things. What other
Solutions.
kind of interesting things are you involved in?
Well, so from there, I also came up with a van lock for the same solution.
Okay.
So any type of commercial van, whether it has a They call it a swing out door or a roll-in door
Yep.
for a van. So we came up with a generic lock that works on every one of those vans. Same premise, simply by closing the door, it automatically locked. So we really just went through a whole gamut of making sure that every commercial vehicle door can be locked in the same manner by closing it correctly.
So like that has massive application everywhere.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So you must be a bazillionaire.
No, you know what? you know, security has no sex appeal and no budgets, and that's the problem. So most companies don't have a budget until after they have a problem,
Right.
and then it doesn't matter what it costs. Just get it done. Make sure it never happens
Right.
again. And I spend so much time being proactive, trying to get companies to do something before it happens. And if I could figure that out, that would make me.
And
very
don't
wealthy.
you also? I mean, that I think I love what you're doing in that regard. But don't you also have like lock boxes that go in hotels, and you
Yeah.
you have like all kinds of weird and interesting stuff you're
But they
doing.
were all in the security field, so they're
Right.
not all that diverse. So from the locking systems, the next step that I did is we really developed certain types of alarm systems that go in all types of industries. And what that actually, it works the same way as a lock in a way. Simply by closing the door, it automatically alarms. So it would be no different than when you left your house in the morning if you just closed the front door and it automatically deadbolted and the alarm system turned on without you pressing a button.
And you're doing that for commercial applications.
Only for commercial applications, yeah. So we've been doing that for years. And then from there, what we started doing is we realized that certain companies need to have another level of security. So when that alarm goes off, we actually notify them to tell them that the alarm's going off. So it's not just an alarm inside a truck in a parking lot that's going off that some people say, oh, who pays attention to an alarm system? We notify you. So we have customers in different verticals. Some of them have very valuable products inside of their trucks, and sometimes those trucks don't go to a depot every night. Maybe they could be at a hotel, and they're going from one point A to point B, or maybe they're not going to a hotel, but they need to be notified instantly when the alarm goes off. So we can tell anybody that truck number 123 is on Main Street in Maintown, USA, and truck number 555, and it's going off now.
So, but you're not in the alarm business, or are you? Like, is this a whole alarm?
So we don't have a central station because it's very involved to have a central station and to notify. It's called a public safety access point, a PSAP. So in your house, you're always dialing the same number, so they know the police station to call. But if a truck is moving, it's very unique. So you can't call a local 911 and say
Right.
your truck could be in California, your truck can be in North Carolina. So you have to call the correct one. So what we do is we always call the customer, let the customer call the correct police department.
But it's functioning the same as a
Absolutely.
alarm system.
It
in
is.
my
It's-
house. It's essentially the same thing.
Same
it just has a
exact.
different infrastructure behind
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
So we integrate it with the GPS, so we know an unauthorized entry at such and such a location within 2 seconds. No different than your house.
it. Wow. What else interesting are you doing? What other interesting, cool things are you playing with right now?
So right now, my passion is fictitious theft.
Fictitious theft.
So fictitious theft is a growing type of theft that is growing exponentially every year right now. So recently there was something in the news about Costco, and they lost $500,000 worth of lobster tails simply because somebody else showed up, pretended to be the right driver, and they handed them $500,000 worth of lobster tails.
No.
It's just that simple. So maybe what they'll do is they'll send some phishing email to you, and they'll be able to monitor your computer. So Tom Adams is supposed to go to this depot at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, and they see that, and they send the bad guy in. He says it's Tom Adams, and he's there at 11 a.m., and they just hand him the load. But that's a small load. Within
Right.
the last 2 weeks, there was a $3.8 million load of computer hard drives that was stolen the same exact way.
So I'm just trying to follow the logic here. Are they phishing the driver's email, or could be the corporate email?
Well, they're doing multiple things
Okay.
right now. So fictitious means that they're doing something in a way that somebody believes that they are somebody else.
Right.
So it's so simple. So they're doing it in many different ways. So they're doing it through emails, and they could see who's doing it, who's supposed to go there, so they send somebody else. Or sometimes what they'll do is they'll send a legitimate driver to pick up a fictitious load. So for instance, there's something called a load board, and you could say, I'd like to deliver a product from California to Florida.
Yeah.
And you must have this type of insurance, and you have to go from point A to point B. So right away they know it's a high valued load because it has high valued insurance.
Right.
And they say these are a few requirements. So now what somebody may be doing in Eastern European countries could be anywhere across
Yeah.
the world. That's what's happening today. So the bad guys are now in other countries. And then what they'll do is they'll bid on the load. They will pretend to be a legitimate truck company in the US because they are stealing their credentials through electronic means. And then they'll hire a legitimate driver. So they may hire Tom Adams Trucking to pick up these computer chips because they're coming out of a place where they think chips are coming from. So now all of a sudden, a legitimate company is being hired by a criminal in another part of the world to pick up the goods. So you'll go in, you'll give your old credentials, you show up, and now all of a sudden, when you're on your way, they'll say, hey, Tom, do me a favor. We change your delivery. Deliver it to this place. So you deliver it, you get paid, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, when they're doing an investigation, they come to you, and you prove that you were hired by this company, you got paid, and you brought it from point A to B. The load is gone, vanished.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So what I've developed is by listening to what's going on in the industry, I said there must be a way to digitize this process. And I developed an application that is you can modify just like an a la carte menu at a restaurant. And you say, these are the steps that you need. Because every company wants a different process.
Right.
And with each step, you can label it any way you want. And maybe it's a picture, maybe it's a barcode reader, maybe it's a multiple choice, whatever the point is. So you create a secure process. And then what happens is when the driver shows up, you can do a few things. So for instance, first thing I can do is I work with a third party that can instantly take your license and do a background check on your license. So I'll send you an invite, and my invite will tell you, show me your license. So it'll take a picture of the front of your license. Then it'll ask you to show me the picture of the back of your license. And it said, show me, and then now it's just, give me a selfie. Let me see you real time, like a face-to-face. Now what happens is that company can take the credentials from your license, because phony licenses, for instance, there was a theft about a month ago, and the back of the license had this information on the barcode and the front of the license. During an investigation, they found the back of the license said that this driver was born in 1939, and it was a she. The front of the license was a man that was 25 years old. So those things didn't match. So they showed the license at the gate, they were given the load, and it disappeared. So what we can do is, A, we can investigate the person that's driving. So I send you a remote invitation, you do A, B, and C. Now I can do all kinds of background checks to make sure that you actually, Tom Adams lived at this address, and you actually received packages, and you know, there's all types of, maybe you had credit card, banks, loans, so they can do those types of things. And then what happens is that information comes back to me as a shipper, and I can see that Tom Adams is a real person and an approved driver. Now I send you a QR code that you have on your phone. That's an invitation, no different than a ticket that you would have at a concert. You show up at the gate, you show it to the guard at the gate. The guard reads the QR code and says, oh, it's Tom Adams. He's approved for this load. And then and then the next step is the gate, take a picture of the truck license plate, take the VIN of the truck, take a picture of the BOL. That's the bill of lading.
Yeah.
That's the information that's going from point to B. So now you actually have all this information on the truck, on the person that's delivering, and you're tying that information to the load. Now that load is going to point B. When that truck gets to point B, this seal on the back of the truck, you could take a picture of the seal. If that doesn't match at any point, we're comparing data, information, and now the notifications go out to the shipper and everybody that something doesn't match. But a key point here is all that information right now is at your fingertips in the cloud. So if that truck doesn't show up, We have a driver's information. We have the VIN. Those things take months.
That
get
is
information.
fascinating.
So that's what we're doing, and it's working very well. And companies are really surprised by how easy it is to adapt their process to a digital format.
Yeah.
And what it does is it gives visibility to everybody in the supply chain across the board. So today you would receive a package from Amazon and you'd see, oh, it's at my door and here it is. But the transportation business was not that visible.
Right.
There's so many different key players
Right.
inside the market. And then what I can also do with that process is that I can take other vendors. So a vendor that's saying, like, I'm hiring Tom Adams Trucking. Well, there are companies out there that vet Tom Adams Trucking and make sure, Tom, I'm only hiring a company that has 100 trucks. How many trucks do you have? Now they see. So now that can integrate into the app. So now I have a library of companies, drivers. Oh, you have a GPS company. Well, why don't we just scan the barcode on the GPS and the BOL? So now we know which GPS company is tracking the load, which seal is on the load. You know, there's so much information that you
Dang,
can tie
dude.
together.
That is seriously cool. How big? I mean, you just gave two examples earlier, but like, how big of a crisis is this right now? Like, is it a $1 billion crisis?
It's billions.
Billions.
Monthly, probably.
Seriously.
Yes, it's that big.
And so, like, trucks are just disappearing. Truckloads of stuff are just disappearing.
Right. All the time.
Oh my gosh. And like, when you show this to people who have had a loss, because, you know, everybody doesn't like security until they've had a loss.
Exactly.
Are they like in awe?
We're right. It's really starting. People are starting to understand how does this work, and it's not a question of replacing what you have. It's a replacing of making everything that you have work better.
Right.
And that's what we're really focused on.
Dang. Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah, so next week I'll be at a pharmaceutical security conference specifically just on that app.
So cool. Wow. Well, you have done some really interesting things. And like, I mean, I've talked to you over the years, and you're always, like, your brain never stops, does it? Like, you're already creating some.
Always. But it's easy because all I have to really do is attend a conference and listen to the pain points and just say, look at it at a way. How can I solve this problem?
So, okay. So that the industry now that we're in, I mean, we're at iSigma, and this has
Right.
been an industry you've been a part of for many years. How do you see some of this new stuff you're doing connecting? Like, because generally like shred trucks, I mean, by the time a shred truck leaves somebody's front yard, everything's shredded.
Correct.
It's not really a big risk there. But ITAD is growing significantly right now.
Okay.
And a load of ITAD, I'm guessing, has some pretty significant value stuck in the back of that.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Where else do you see this industry can sort of take advantage of some of the cool stuff you're doing?
Well, I think the industry itself is probably going to evolve, and
Yep.
it's going to find other media types of
Yep.
products that have to be secured and either destroyed, moved, or stored in a special manner. And that's not something that can be done just on a handshake. You need to have a process in place. You need to be able to reinforce that process. Need to be able to notify somebody somehow if that process isn't being done right.
Right.
Secure it. So, I don't foresee my company would be able to do every one of those things, but we look for gaps where, what are you doing and where is the gap? Where is it vulnerable? How are you at risk? How can we solve that risk? How can we fill that gap? And that's what I try to do. I don't look and say, oh, I have a magic wand and I could fix that.
Right.
Well, you're using a company A and company B and company C. Well, how do we start tying those things together?
Yeah, it's so cool. I love this. It's just what I love about it is there's this gap in the industry, generally amplified by loss, and your brain goes to work and says, if we just do this and this and this, and you tie that together, you've got a solution that can potentially save billions of dollars a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
And most companies don't really look at being proactive.
Right.
And that's the challenge in my business because
Yeah.
what I do is I look to always be proactive, and most companies don't move into, they're reactive.
Yeah.
After something happens,
Yeah,
they're very
but-
open to hearing
But it's
about it.
interesting. I don't know. I always call this concept the bleeding neck.
Okay.
Like and the bleeding neck is like nobody until something starts bleeding, nobody goes and fixes themselves,
Very
right?
true.
Like we by nature as humans, there's this thing in our psyche somehow, which is don't make sure you don't get sick. But when you get sick, you go, you pound drugs down at that
Exactly.
point, right?
Yeah.
Like that's that. I feel like that's
An
our
ounce of
human
prevention would have went a
right.
long way.
Right. And I know we say that, but I find myself, I mean, if there's chips and chocolate around, I'm done. Like I really suck at prevention. But when, I'm at 230 pounds, then all of a sudden I'm going, dang, I need a cure.
Exactly.
Right. And that's the nature of us. So I can see why it's so hard to sell. And you've said that to me over the years, how challenging it is to sell this type of thing. But it's really cool to have watched all the cool stuff you've built over the years and all the cool inventions you've come up with. And
I love the challenge. That's what makes me, that's what drives me,
Yeah.
the challenge, solving that problem.
Yeah, it's really cool. Any last words before we bring this one to a close? Anything that you didn't talk about you wanted to talk about?
I think that you're going to see the security business go through a transformation in the next few years. I'm focusing a tremendous amount of energy and time on the next generation of locking systems. And I think that'll be NFC, near field communication.
Really?
It's built into every phone.
Yeah.
And what that actually means is that you could have a locking device without a battery that can be driven by any phone. So I can create a remote locking system on any truck using any phone. So I can send you an invite and you'll be able to unlock that phone. That can also be tied into that app. So now all of a sudden you're authorized to make that delivery. And then if you're in the right location at the right time, you tap your phone on that lock and it automatically unlocks and you will not have a key. And I'll have a record that Tom Adams opened up that
Isn't
lock at
that-
that
oh,
location.
yeah.
And you may only have that access once. Or maybe it's like your card access system and you could do it for the next 5 days between 9 and 5. But every time you touch that lock, that information is stored in the cloud of who opened it and who accessed it.
Oh,
when and
well,
where.
well, that another piece to me that automatically ties back is now the fictional companies that are picking stuff up couldn't unlock a door if they don't. They didn't
Absolutely,
get the
but
code.
they also would never be. They would also never be with that truck.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. They immediately get they get locked out of the system automatically.
And many times people say, "Oh, it's an inside job. It's the drivers." I think that is a good percentage of the time that drivers have nothing to do with it. They're just being used,
Right.
for all different
they're
nefarious
mules.
reasons.
They're basically
They
mules.
don't even know, but
Yeah.
yeah. But this is going to put some more credibility to each step of that process.
So
and
cool.
visibility. So you'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. In a few years, we'll
Greg,
talk about
I have
this.
always been blown away by the cool stuff you're doing, and thank you for all you've brought to this industry as a result of your ability to see interesting security gaps in the world and solving them. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. I enjoy always speaking to you. Thank you.
Nice work. Very cool.
Go okay?
Fabulous.
You think so?
Oh, dude, you're fabulous. You're fabulous.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you could do it. I'm glad you took us up on the invite.
Are you kidding?
It's no. Every time I've talked to you, I know both our private and our public conversations. I'm always impressed by the cool shit you're doing every day.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, man.
Now I have to go look for that shirt in my closet to see what brand is I'm going to text you.
Well,
it looks so similar and it feels the same way.
Well, Mizzen and Maine, I love their shirts.
You have to
because-
text me the name. I'm
I
going to.
will. Yeah,
It looks like a nice shirt.
they're great shirts. They're what you and I would comfortably spend on a shirt.
Right.
I think they're $150 or $160, but they're just invincible. Like they're so good.
Yeah.
And you can throw them in. Yeah. What I find that sometimes when they come originally from when you first buy them, they can kind of hold the wrinkle for a bit, but that's from the transit stuff. But once you start using them,
Once they release.
they are exceptional shirts. They were kind of like the first technical brand that came out.
Oh, really?
They're out of Austin. And I don't know, the first one I put on, I went, yes, this is a good shirt. And I used to be in the clothing business, so
How do you know that?
yeah, I ran a chain of menswear stores 30
So-
years ago.
Ralph Lauren is that app, I have it focused on doing, it's called CT-PAT inspections. So there's a 7 and a 17-point inspection that you must do as an importer on every container. So I just change the steps, and I do every step that the CT-PAT has, and CT compliant, and here's the best part of it. Instead of doing paper audits, they're doing digital audits. And when CT-PAT knocked on their door and said, we'd like to see everything between this month and this day. So now they said, instead of going and looking for paper, like records, going back and digging those records, they said, okay.
Lined up and get this one lined up. Okay, that's me. That should be you. There you are. Let me just get you. Are you comfortable kind of there? And then you're going to grab that microphone.
1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
And you need to kind of keep it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you wouldn't mind. 'Cause,
No problem.
I think we're in good shape. Don't worry about watching that world. We'll deal without that world. And yeah, we'll just talk as if we're catching up after a year of not talking, and kind of go from there. Sound good?
Oh, sounds great.
Steve Innerfield, welcome to the iSigma On Air podcast. We're glad you're here.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, so last year you and I talked. It's been a while. What is going on in your world? What's new and exciting at Shredmetrics?
So much.
Yeah?
Well, of course, there's a big AI focus. That's been so much conversation here at conference. There have been keynotes on it. There have been breakouts on it. There are conversations in the hallway. And that's caused a lot of spirited discussion amongst my team.
Oh, your team?
Amongst my team internally.
Okay, so what's
and
the
that's over
spirited
last-
discussion?
Well,
Tell me more.
There's some. How does that old saying go? Just because you could, does that mean you should? I think that comes from the first of those dinosaur movies. That's a Jurassic Park thing.
Yeah.
Just because you could, does that mean you should?
Right.
We've been experimenting with automated coding. I can tell you that was disastrous.
Was it?
A lot of the time I have daily conversations with my new best friend Claude.
Yep.
And
Claude's a good friend.
Claude's a good friend. Yep. And Claude's a good friend, but he doesn't always quite get it right. And as a software developer, as a consultant, we feel like we've got this fiduciary responsibility to our clients to get it right every time. Because if there's an issue that we induce, that impacts people's business.
Right.
So we've been very cautious on that. It opens up good conversations, though, about what should be done by the human, what should be done by the AI agent, what should be done by just plain really good software that was doing its job before we had to decide, is this AI or not?
Right. Yeah.
I had an interesting discussion with somebody, actually right after, I think it was your presentation at the executive luncheon, and he was challenging me, is there really any I in this? Is there really any intelligence in this? Or does it just mean that we've got faster processors and we can just digest all this information and analyze it in ways that we couldn't before? It's an interesting theoretical tangent that probably requires a few pints of an adult beverage.
Right.
But we look at what we've been doing in the Shredmetrics space. It really hasn't changed our focus that much. We've got a few new tools in our toolbox.
Yep.
We suddenly realized that we've been using AI for optimized routing since day one, and that's gotten better as the tools have gotten better.
Right.
I can see an absolute change in how algorithmically controlled routing works.
Yeah.
It is way better than it was 5 years ago. It is noticeably better than it was 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah. And that's the, when I said in the presentation the other day, don't make yesterday's judgment.
I love that.
Right. Tomorrow's prison. And I have seen that because I live on the other side of the equation from you. I'm coaching the people that you sell software to. And a lot of times it's easy to say that didn't work. And literally 2 weeks later, it does work. Because something like Anthropic builds something into Claude that makes it light years ahead of what... It
evolves every day.
Every day. And I'm seeing it, I see it under the hood, but you see it from the perspective of building software. And I really appreciate the concept of understanding the distinction between the capacity to use a tool like Claude Code or Codex or whatever tool you choose to use, and it helps sort of to speed up certain parts. The challenge I find, and I'm not a software developer, but I've played with building software tools.
And you're teaching it tomorrow.
And I'm teaching it tomorrow. But conceptually, where I find the gap is often that when you don't understand what you built or what it built, then it blows up and there's a challenge. If for me, I go, I'm learning. For you, it's a direct hit on a client relationship.
Yes. And, that's something that we've found also. We deal with some fairly complicated algorithms, particularly when we're doing our predictive stuff.
Right.
Our predictive routing, for example, I can tell you plus or minus 15 minutes how long any driver's day is going to be any day of the week, regardless of where they're going. We field tested that.
Right.
The hardest one that I've done to date is I went out on a ride right along with a driver. He had 35 stops in the day. And before we left, we wrote down how long that day was going to take, and we called it within 14 minutes.
The software called it, and what did the driver call it?
The driver was actually off by about an hour.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's where I find it fascinating because you said there's the distinct between the human and the, but we're not really good as human animals at prediction. I've done a lot of reading but AI's relatively good. The toolkit's relatively good at prediction because it's processing so much data in that.
And it has zero emotional attachment to it.
Yes.
And we induce so many prejudices and so many predefined notions into it that, and it's just looking at the numbers. It's just math.
Yeah, right. And then it pulls from enough data set or data capability to actually make a prediction that's based on enough data that our brain can't even handle.
Can't even
handle.
come close
Yeah.
to handling.
Yeah.
But where we find ourselves getting into trouble with that sometimes. So these algorithms, incredibly complicated, and there's a real temptation to not take the time to understand them.
Correct.
And just what you said, if you don't understand it, you can't validate it, and if something goes wrong, you certainly can't fix it.
Right. Well, and that's, I mean, I said yesterday, so I built a little podcast application for this potential thing. And when it doesn't work, thankfully I'm not selling it to anyone, and neither would I, but I was dumbfounded. Ben from ShredTech came in and said, dude, you've sent me like 15 notifications of my interview. And I'm going, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Right. And you couldn't do that. You can't do that.
Right.
I can because I'm playing. You can't because you're selling stuff.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah. So what do you see as you're in this evolution? Because yes, you mentioned something about the human place versus the AI place. So tell me where you're seeing that distinction in how shredders operate their business, and you're building software to support them. But how do you see that distinction now? Because as we become more AI centric or focused or use case, where does the human make sense? Where's the place the human has to be deeply engaged?
The human makes sense when you've got the value decisions to make. Now, there's some stuff that's very mechanical.
Yep.
That's super mechanical. There's other stuff where there's a human factor that it's really hard to code. And there are multiple variables that are just really hard to code. Now, I live in the New York metro area. I know that I do not want to have a truck headed westbound on I-495 anytime after 6 a.m.
Correct.
And guess what? My AI knows that too. What my AI may not know until I teach it is about a sporting event that's going to make it, that's going to change that.
Right.
Or about a holiday. If we've taught it to look at the business day, Monday through Friday, if we haven't also taught it that this Monday is a Monday holiday, we're going to have bad data coming back.
Right.
It's not the AI's fault.
Correct.
But we didn't teach it something that it needs to know that we know kind of intuitively when Memorial Day is.
Right. Yeah.
The AI is not going to know that until we take the time to teach it. So there are bear traps that are laid out there. My concern, of course, is, well, not of course, but my concern is when the AI gets so good that we stop thinking, there are going to be errors. And some of those could be costly errors.
Yeah.
In answer to your real question, I think that still at this point, now ask me again next year, I may have a different answer, because as everybody has said, this is moving at breakneck speed.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe that all of the software, take the word AI totally out.
Yep.
It's all a tool. It could and should all be used to help the human make better decisions. But I think the human still needs to know their job, and the human still needs to use those tools to make the best decisions. Now, that decision may be to leave it exactly like the AI set it up.
Right.
But that decision might also be, I know this guy, and if he's my first stop on Monday morning after a nice weekend, he's going to have been out on the boat. There is no way he's making it in to be my first stop. I'll make him my last stop.
Right. Yeah. And that's the part that the machine, I just call it the machine. It doesn't know what to do.
It doesn't know what to do with
you can't
that.
even teach, like, that's a hard one to teach because there's a variable in there that could be the distinction in New York between the guy on the boat on June 1st versus November 1st.
So you could do that. if this, then that, if that, then this, if that, then this, then this,
but
then that, then that, then that. Unless it's this, then you do that.
The process mapping on that one alone is
nightmarish,
It's
but-
such an edge case that you'd never get there.
Right,
I mean, you could.
and you and I would just look at that and intuitively, we got
know that
answer. We
guy's
know
on the
that
boat
guy.
on June 1st.
Right, we know that guy.
Yes, got it.
So
That's beautiful.
there's a ways to go.
Yep.
But still, the tools have absolutely gone better. And on the vanilla stuff, the vanilla
Yep.
routing without the boat on Monday morning.
Yep.
Yeah, I see an
They do
absolute
great work.
difference in where it is today than it was 2 years ago, than it was when we started.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different stuff.
Okay, so Steve, what are you excited about right now? Like what? I mean, because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on right now, and in software, in the world you live in, you understand contextually it. But like, what really excites you right now about what's happening?
Something that's maybe not what you would have expected. It's a fringe benefit of the AI revolution, which is that people that were absolutely set in their ways and would never let a software program do something for them are suddenly talking and excited about the possibilities. Because it's everywhere now. It's pervasive. It's utterly pervasive. You can't go a day without hearing AI this or that. I just was speaking with a shredder who saw his first demo in 2018 at the conference in Denver. But he said, but this stuff, I can still do it better. I can still do it better than the machine. I can still route better. I can still be faster.
Right.
And I just gave him a price quote because
Yes.
there's an acceptance
Yes.
now.
Yes.
So that excites me that there's been this mind shift. It's a seismic shift.
Yeah.
Some of it's scary. 5 years ago, would you have gotten into a self-driving car?
Oh no.
Okay, and yet we had a show of hands yesterday, and everybody who's done it says, wow, they're a better driver than I am.
Right.
So there's been this seismic shift.
Yeah.
I find this to
That's
be
interesting.
mutually exciting and terrifying times.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a really interesting time. I just think it's interesting from your point of view as somebody who lives within software, who's constantly thinking about this, but also understands how the system behind
Well,
what,
and
what you
really,
see.
really the world that we live in at my company, we live in the world of process. And software is frequently the right tool to address and improve process. And that's exciting because we see, profit is incremental. We're all here to make more money. We're all here to have successful businesses. And you find that in little places here and there and there and there. And it's not necessarily the one big nuclear change, but there's all this incremental stuff that's layering in right now. And if you see those opportunities and you sense those and you can mine those and pull those out, there's exciting stuff going on. Because, I don't get out much, but there's exciting stuff going on.
Right. No, it really is. I mean, I feel, I don't know if you feel this, but at my age, and I think a little bit ahead of you, but, we're relatively close. I have never felt so, as much as, there's the uncertainty of what if, but I've never been as excited about the opportunity that's unfolding right now. I feel like, it's unlocking things that we didn't know to unlock before.
Yeah, we didn't even know to ask the question.
Right.
Forget the answer. We didn't know to ask the question.
And now I can ask the question. And for me, and I'm not even on the same playing field as you, but like I can go, I've got this thing. So last year I had spreadsheets and I did 44 interviews in this podcast and I had spreadsheets and I had, and this year
you built a tool.
This year I built a tool.
This year you didn't build a tool. You told the computer to build a tool for you.
I just knew what I kind of wanted and what I hoped it would do, and it would text people and it would send messages. And granted, I've had now 2 years of figuring out how to connect dots, but I would like last year I didn't even know how to even construct the question about what I needed, like you said, let alone that I could make something happen. But in the last year, all of a sudden I could make stuff happen. And granted, it's play toy for me. It's not I'm selling it to somebody, I have to support it. It's play, but like, holy crap, I am like on fire right now.
Yeah,
I'm on
there's this-
fire with the opportunity and the possibility and the capability that I now have access to. And I don't know, like it's just such a cool time to be alive. Such a cool time.
It really is. There's neat stuff. There's neat stuff going on. And like I said, it's mutually exhilarating and terrifying, but it's moving fast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been delightful to catch up with you. What did you want to talk about that we didn't? Did we forget to cover anything?
No, I don't think so. I walked in with no expectations other than that it would be an interesting chat. And I think we did that.
you and I always have interesting conversations, and I think it's fascinating to watch what you guys are doing and how you keep deconstructing what comes next and what do you got to figure out and where you go from here and take the capabilities and the technology and the industry. I mean, because I know your story is that you didn't just build software, you built a company in this industry that you grew and developed, and you have an intuitive insider knowledge about it.
Yeah, well, I think I'm the only person in the industry that I know of active today who has worked both a corporate shredding role and then built a shredding company and then sold the shredding company and then moved to the vendor side and now supports other shredders. So I've really seen it from all the...
Yeah, you have a really interesting perspective that so few people do, which I always find interesting because you come at things, as I kind of observe the industry, you come at things in a different way because you've humped boxes. You've done the whole thing, and you've tipped bins like very few other people have, and so that always gives me perspective. So, independent of the software, as my final question to you, what are you most excited about in the world right now? Like, what's the thing that's capturing your imagination?
Moving to Charlotte to be closer to my grandkids.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're moving to Charlotte?
Moving to the Charlotte area to be closer to our grandkids.
Wow, so you're leaving Long Island.
Leaving Long Island. I've been there for a long time.
Wow, that's a big move.
Yeah, it's a huge move. But the beauty of it is, my company's a totally digital remote company.
Yep.
I've got support and training is in coincidentally also in Charlotte, but tech support's in Southern Virginia and programming's in South Carolina and California. So, any place with a high-speed internet connection.
Right. Yeah.
We can go, and I got two little reasons sitting there in North Carolina. So that's
delightful.
what excites me.
So delightful. Steve, it's been great to catch up with you. Thank you
Likewise.
for coming on, and continued success this year in the ever-changing, evolving world that you live in.
Well, thank you, Tom. Great to catch up.
Nice work, brother. Very cool.
Cool.
Good stuff.